Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching an interesting movie on what if Naruto was Tobirama Son Reborn. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Naruto Senju was well known as a fearsome warrior in Konohagakure no Sato. He was Tobirama Senju's son, trained by the Naidem as his successor alongside a ninja named Hiruzen Sarutobi. The reason for this is that if one of them died, someone else would take the hat. Naruto was well known for being cold, ruthless, and extremely efficient when it came to killing. No one who stood up to him made it out alive. In fact, there were only 4 people who could compete with him in a battle: Hashirama Senju, Tobirama Senju, Madara Uchiha, and Izuna Uchiha. He had a friendship with Izuna. Hiruzen wasn't even on the same level as him. In fact, he assisted in the training of the younger boy when his father was unavailable. He was currently on a solo assassination mission to help mend relations between Konoha and Iwa. There was apparently a bandit leader who no one from Iwa could kill, and he had been dispatched to deal with it. Of course, he was successful. He was always a winner. He'd never failed a mission before. What Naruto didn't realize was that one of Sarutobi's family members, an assassination unit member, was after him so that Sarutobi could become the next Hokage. He had no idea his family was taking matters into their own hands. He was a fan of Naruto. Naruto was jumping through the trees when he was suddenly encased in ropes with tiny hooks digging into his skin. His eyes widened, he cried out in surprise and pain, and the ropes tightened before yanking him down to the ground. With a puff of dust, he slammed into the dirt, and the oxygen in his lungs was forced from his lungs in a violent gasp. A man approached him while he was paralyzed from the shock of his oxygen deprivation, unsheathing his katana. "Now Hiruzen will get your position, as he deserves, Senju," Naruto said as he slowly focused on him. Naruto exhaled a gasping, shuddering breath and asked, "Who are you?" "My name is Ryu Sarutobi, and I'm Hiruzen's relative who only wants the best for him. He'd never want this. He isn't required to know. I can only say that I found your mutilated body and felt compelled to bring you back to the village. Now say goodbye." Naruto's eyes widened as the katana rose and then fell. His body jerked, splattering bright red liquid across the clearing. Ryu straightened and smiled as blood trickled from Naruto's lips, staining his chin and neck red as it dripped to the ground. The katana was buried in his chest, and a pool of blood was forming beneath him. Naruto coughed, and the ropes unraveled, freeing him, but he was too weak to move anyway. He gave a small laugh as he looked up at the nin, his eyes quickly dulling. "They'll catch up with you. I applied a seal to my body that revealed my murderer." The man's eyes widened, and Naruto remained motionless as the last of his life faded from his eyes. Ryu noticed a glow on Naruto's palm as his body relaxed. That would be his demise, though he had no idea. He quickly began mutilating the body to make it appear to be a lucky rage attack, and then he left the body there. Tobirama was given the final moments of his son's life, and his red eyes were filled with rage and despair. He screamed in pain at the death of his only son, and Hashirama rushed in. "Tobi, what's the matter?" When Tobirama turned around, Hashirama noticed the glowing seal on the white-haired man's hand. His pupils dilated. "No. It's not possible. He's no longer alive. Naruto has died." Hashirama's eyes welled up with tears as he remembered his nephew's death. Who was it? Ryu Sarutobi as a person. He apparently wanted to give Hiruzen a shot at becoming Hokage. He did it without telling Saru. Hashirama bowed his head, then looked up. clearly enraged, "Tobi, I'll go take care of him. You stay and manage the village. Naruto's death will not be forgotten." Tobi looked at his older brother, nodded, and then looked at a photo of his son smiling next to him. "Okay, go. If you can't find his killer, bring him home and bury him here." "I will," Hashirama said, nodding. Then he was gone, leaving the albino man to mourn his only son's death. Naruto Uzumaki was a strange young boy. He was a jokester, a ray of sunshine, and, most importantly, an idiot. Or so everyone assumed. Naruto's upbeat, idiotic demeanor was a ruse. It hadn't been at first, but one day, while the mob was chasing him, he'd simply snapped. Nobody knew he was calm, intelligent, and ruthless on the inside. He was the loser who had failed 3 times in a row. He was running through the village right now, holding a paint bucket in one hand and a paintbrush in the other. He was hungry because the Hokage monument had been brightly colored and vandalized. He felt someone behind him only seconds before a sharp pain ripped through his shoulder in midair. He was thrown off course and fell to the ground, landing on his back. He screamed again and arched his back as the kunai dug deeper into his shoulder, then pushed himself to his side weakly to prevent the weapon from going any deeper. He remained motionless after that, attempting to remain conscious as the wound slowly caused a puddle of blood beneath him. After a few minutes, his eyes slid shut and he collapsed, cold from blood loss. Hyuk smiled as the Kyuubi brat screamed in agony and fell to the ground. They had been instructed not to injure the boy in these prank situations, but the boy had fled into the forest near the Uchiha compound. Nobody has ever come here. He'd be able to permanently exorcise the demon. He jumped down and saw the demon's eyes close as he fell limp, and he smiled darkly before pulling out another kunai and placing it at the demon's throat. It had only drew a trickle of blood when he was hit with a rock and a voice yelled, "Hey! Leave him alone. What's the big deal?" His head whipped up, ready to glare, and he saw the last Uchiha with another rock, ready to glare. Damn it. He couldn't finish if there was a witness. He couldn't kill the Uchiha because that would mean torture and death if he begged for it. He yanked the kunai away, then jumped away from the Uchiha. Sasuke dropped his rock and dashed over to Naruto. Though they kept it a secret, the blonde was his friend, and seeing him about to be killed had been terrifying. Naruto was the only one who understood him and was physically capable of training with him. The blonde was saving her energy for everyone else so that he could be assigned to the same team as him. He quickly reached down and picked Naruto up, slinging the blonde's arm over his shoulder and staggering back to the compound, where he lived despite the ghosts he believed haunted him. Naruto stayed with him whenever he had the opportunity, which was almost every night. He even assisted the blonde in his pranks. When he returned home, he gently placed Naruto on his side on the futon in the guest bedroom and examined him. He quickly grabbed some bandages and warm water after discovering the kunai as the only major wound. "Sorry, Naruto," he winced, pulling the blade out with a strong yank. Naruto jerked and gasped before falling still and Sasuke went to work. He wiped the blood away, allowing Naruto's natural healing ability to take effect with some steam. He wrapped it in bandages and tied them tightly because it wasn't completely healed yet. Before going to Naruto's little dresser in his temporary room, he removed Naruto's now bloodied jumpsuit top and the black shirt underneath it. He took out a new t-shirt, slipped it on his friend, and then took a step back to clean up the mess he'd just made. He left Naruto to rest once everything was cleaned up. He was confident that his friend would recover quickly. He'd come here many times, beaten and bloodied by angry drunks, and he'd woken up fine. That's why Sasuke was so skilled at medical procedures. He gave the unconscious blonde one last look before walking away. Naruto walked through a sewer system, curiously looking around. What happened to him? He eventually arrived at a dimly lit section with a large cage and a person standing in front of it. As he approached, the person turned to reveal himself to be a 16-year-old boy. The boy had spiky white hair that reached his mid-back and was held in a low ponytail. His eyes were a deep red with a violet ring around them. His skin was very pale. His fingers were long and calloused, indicating that he had used weapons frequently. His physique was lean and lithe, with wiry muscles hidden beneath his tall frame. His attire was also noteworthy. He wore anbu-like gauntlets that went to his elbows and covered the back of his hands up to his elbows with metal, and he wore a leaf hitai tied around his brow. He was dressed in long, loose black pants tucked into his ninja sandals, which billowed at the bottom like the noble's hakamas. His shirt was actually two shirts sewn together. He was dressed in a loose, long-sleeved, black shirt with a V-neck. Below his first shirt was another, mesh shirt, as revealed when the V was filled in with the mesh. A long katana with a blue sheath completed his appearance, making him appear lethal. "Hello, Naruto. I've been waiting for you," the boy said as he came to a halt. "Why are you waiting for me? Where are we?" "We're in your head." "I'm waiting because you're me and I'm you, but that can't happen until you meet me." "What exactly do you mean?" "I am Naruto Senju, the soul of your previous life." "Your name was Naruto as well?" "That's strange." "That's true, but I think our soul just likes that name." "So, if you're my past life soul, why are you here?" "This is your mind, your soul. I was waiting for you to visit me so that we could bind together and be what we were meant to be." "But I'd still be myself, right?" "Yes, you would, but only slightly with my memories." "Well, what shall we do?" "Just stay still." Naruto nodded and remained motionless until the older Naruto slammed his hand into the younger's chest. Younger Naruto exclaimed, and then older Naruto began to dissolve as younger Naruto began to recall memories. After a few minutes, older Naruto had vanished, leaving younger Naruto exhausted on the ground. The smell of ramen was the first thing Naruto noticed when he finally awoke. This, of course, caused him to jump up and raise his nose for the smell. When he realized it was coming from downstairs, he removed the blankets that were covering his lower half. He stood up and looked down to make sure he was dressed properly, and once satisfied, he began his descent towards that delectable smell. When he got to the kitchen, he saw something amusing. Sasuke was cooking ramen in a pan while wearing a black apron with little red fans on it. As he entered the room, Uchiha looked up, his black eyes widening in surprise. "Is that you, Naruto?" "Yeah, are you feeling okay?" said Naruto, cocking his head. "Naruto, check your reflection." "However, why?" "You'll see when you get in there." Naruto's brow furrowed in perplexity, and he went to the bathroom, leaving Sasuke to finish cooking. He entered the bathroom and looked in the mirror, only to have his eyes widen in surprise. What? With his new memories, he had completely changed. He looked more like his old self now than he had expected. His hair had almost whitened, though it was still a little yellow. It reached his mid-back and was extremely spiky. He now understood why his older self had kept his hair in a ponytail. His eyes were also different. Starting from the pupil, they were red, then violet, then back to their original bright blue. His body had lengthened and become lean with wiry muscles, similar to his previous life. His posture screamed, dangerous, and he appeared to be getting older. His baby fat had vanished, leaving him with a long face and high aristocratic cheekbones. He appeared to be 14 instead of 12. He sighed as he realized his shirt, which had been too big, was now almost too small. It was snug against his body, which he could tell had grown quite firm. His pants had previously only reached the middle of his shins, but they now resembled capris. He'd have to reconsider his clothing choices. Looking at the orange hurt his eyes, as well as his chest. He couldn't believe he was wearing these. It broke his heart to see what an idiot everyone thought he was. He would, however, keep it for the time being. After all, he still wanted to be on Sasuke's team. Speaking of Sasuke, he reminded me a lot of Izuna. When he thought of his old childhood friend, he felt a familiar pang in his heart. He recalled Izuna's death and funeral. He'd been irritated with his father for days after Izuna died, blaming him for his friend's death. After a while, he realized that his father had no choice and that it had all been an accident. He'd forgiven his father since then, but he still mourned Izuna. With his familiar face, Sasuke had to be a blood relative of the other Uchiha. He shook his head from his sad thoughts and then used a hairbrush from Sasuke's bathroom. Naruto had no idea why he had that.
Wasn't his hair too short?
And brushed his spiky hair to try to keep it in place. It didn't work, so he resolved to get a hair tie right away. He sighed and set the hairbrush down before returning to the kitchen. When he got there, Sasuke was just making bowls. "See what I mean?" said Uchiha, looking up. Yeah, I get what you're saying." "So? What?" "Explanations. You know that," scowled Sasuke. "How was I supposed to know?" said Naruto, innocently. "Naruto," Sasuke said with a warning tone. "Fine," Naruto sighed, "this may sound completely insane, but I am a reincarnation." "Is it a reincarnation?" "Yes, of a person named Naruto Senju, the only son of Tobirama Senju, the Naidam Hokage. I was on the verge of death when I was brought together with my previous life, and we merged." "Are you a Senju reincarnation?" "Yes." "I don't think I believe you." Naruto huffed before smirking and clapping his hands. Sasuke stared at him, perplexed, until a tree root rose from the ground and wrapped around Uchiha, effectively trapping him. "Proof," said Naruto triumphantly. "I see. You're just as odd as ever. Alright, I believe you. Can you let me go?" "My food's getting soggy," Sasuke sighed and slumped. The roots sunk back into the ground. It wasn't widely known that Naruto Senju could use the Mokuton, but he could and had trained with his uncle Hashirama on it, agreeing to keep it a secret advantage. Sasuke sat in his chair, and Naruto grabbed his chopsticks and began eating right away, starving after nearly dying. Sasuke just rolled his eyes and said, "I guess my food's good," before starting to eat his own. A few days later, Sarutobi was sitting in his office, going over the academy graduates and forming teams, when his door burst open and Naruto stormed in, looking enraged. "What's wrong this time, Naruto?" he asked, lighting his pipe. "What is wrong? What is wrong? What has this village come to? What the hell kind of graduation test was that? I could have passed that with my arms tied and my eyes blindfolded. Do you want them to die on their first real mission?" Naruto, what are you talking about? Why are you so angry?" Sarutobi eeped, from the killer intent emanating from the blonde, dropping his pipe. Sarutobi had a horrible premonition when Naruto looked at him with his strange red, blue, and purple eyes. That long hair reminded me of someone. His eyes were a familiar shade of red. That murderous intent was all too familiar. Now, Sarutobi was terrified that a horrible suspicion he had was correct. The great shinobi god, the third Hokage of the village hidden in the leaves, was terrified. He had the impression that someone he had feared had returned to haunt him after being dead for 60 years. Now, Saru-chan, tell me why my father's standards have been completely overridden and destroyed. Why, pray tell, are we trying to kill off our population? Naruto said in a deadly cold voice, towering over Sarutobi. Naruto-sensei? Shrunk Sarutobi. Yes. Oh shit, Sarutobi's eyes widened. He was in big trouble. He knew he should have severed ties with the civilian council a long time ago. Perhaps he could shift this to them, and they would be completely decimated by the enraged Senju in front of him. Hashirama Civilian Sama's council has been slowly stealing my power with petty decrees. They changed the standards. Please don't kill me. It was them. I will fix it. I expect you to regain your power, Saru-chan. That test was pitiful. I can't believe it degraded to those simple 3 jutsus. It's pathetic, Naruto said as he shrank and his eyes stopped glowing. As the killer intent was lifted, Sarutobi sighed and looked warily at Naruto. So, how did you come back? Naruto Uzumaki was my reincarnation, and when he was attacked and nearly killed a few days ago, our memories merged and became one. However, I can assure you that I have not lost my battle prowess. I already tested it on the route Anbu Danzo tried to send after me yesterday. Oh god. We're all screwed. Konohagakure is about to get a wake-up call, isn't it? Said Sarutobi. Yes, it is. By the way, I expect to be on Sasuke's team. Other than that, I don't care. Ino Shikacho would also be good, Naruto said with a dark smirk. I will take your advice. Is that all you wanted? Sarutobi nodded and leaned forward, a little more relaxed now that his old sensei wasn't radiating pure killer intent. Yes, it is, and I'll be at the team listings tomorrow, Saru-chan. Naruto vanished in a blur of Shunshin after Sarutobi nodded. But as soon as he was gone, Sarutobi slammed his head on his desk. Oh, we're all screwed. The best I can do is try to avoid Sensei's wrath, he shuddered. When Sensei was angry, he was on a whole other level. Even he couldn't stand that kind of murderous intent. He knew what he'd just witnessed was just the tip of the iceberg. Konoha had been duped. Naruto was at team listings the next day. He'd gleefully burned all the orange jumpsuits with a fire jutsu Sasuke needed a target for as soon as he graduated. He had immediately purchased new clothes that were similar to his old ones. The long, wide, flowing black pants had undoubtedly been added to his wardrobe. His shirt, on the other hand, had changed. He was now dressed in a skin-tight mesh, no-sleeved shirt underneath a loose dark blue shirt with wide flowing sleeves that hung off his wrists and his usual metal-plate Anbu gloves. He'd gone to the Senju compound, which was sealed with a blood seal, and gone to the old weaponry, where he'd found Shirayuki, his old katana. It was a long katana with elemental conductivity. His father's Raijin no Ken was similar, but it carried lightning. Shirayuki was in charge of water and ice. Shirayuki was currently tucked into the black and blue sash he wore around his waist. His Hitai 8 was wrapped around his brow, and his hair was pulled back into a low spiky ponytail. As he looked around the room at the pitiful genin, his eyes were like chips of ice. Except for Sasuke, none of them had even noticed he was here. For God's sake, he wasn't even attempting. He was just being quiet and still, with his eyes darting around the room as the only movement. Alright, class, quiet down. I know you're excited, Iruka said when everyone arrived.
When killing intent flooded the room and Naruto's cold voice echoed through the now dead silent room, your superior is trying to speak.
Hold your tongues, he leaned back, propping his feet up on the desk as everyone turned to him. Yes? He cocked his brow. Who the hell are you? What was that? Kiba demanded. That was a small amount of murderous intent, and who do you think I am? It's Naruto, idiot. Troublesome, now my nap's ruined. Why'd you have to piss him off? Shikamaru's head rose up with a mutter of troublesome and looked at him with a scrutinizing eye before turning to Kiba. Kiba's jaw dropped and he became enraged. No way, that's Naruto. Naruto's a loser. Deception is a ninja's greatest tool, Naruto scoffed, turning back to the front of the room. Might we continue, Iruka-sensei? Yeah, here are the new teams. Naruto simply snorted as he examined the time. Their new sensei had arrived 3 hours late. He'd take care of it. I'll be back, he said as he stood. You can't leave, Naruto Baka. We'll get in trouble. Sakura exclaimed. Shut your mouth, you annoy me, Naruto said coldly. He heard Sasuke snort and then he was gone in a shunshin. He searched the village quickly until he found the silver-haired man from the bingo book standing near the memorial stone. He narrowed his eyes at the perverted book in Kakashi's hand, but he set it aside and grabbed the Junin by the back of his shirt. He dragged him through the village, ignoring his lewd giggles, until he arrived at the academy. I'm back. Here's our new sensei. Watch out, Sakura, he's a pervert, he said as he walked straight up the wall, leaving Kakashi slightly stunned, and then threw him out the window. Sakura's eyes narrowed at the word pervert, and Kakashi wisely put his book away, saying, My first impression of you is... You're boring. Roof in 5 minutes, and then he was gone. Naruto scoffed, grabbed Sasuke, and walked up the side of the building, leaving Sakura behind. He got to the roof and put Sasuke down before turning to Kakashi and pulling his book out again. If I see that book, I will burn it, and believe me, I can. Ask Saru-chan. Kakashi looked at him, and Naruto's eyes narrowed as he began a quick set of seals. Fire style. Great fireball. Naruto said, putting his hand to his lips. Kakashi's eyes widened even more, and he swerved to avoid the blast of flame, landing about 5 feet away. He was suddenly unable to move his feet, and when he looked down, he saw roots steadily creeping up his legs and holding him still. Now put the book away, Naruto said as he approached him. That's better, Kashi-chan. I don't want to see it out again. K? Good boy, Naruto said innocently as he patted the Junin's head like a dog. The roots vanished, and Kakashi dashed to the other side of the building, saying, You scare me. You're nothing, I scare the Hokage. Kakashi sat down, suspicious of him, and waited for Sakura. Kakashi's wariness made Sasuke chuckle. This was going to be hilarious. First impressions starting at Team 1? Sarutobi leaned forward as Kakashi arrived at the meeting for the new Junin instructors. They're doomed to fail. What about Team 2? Same. 3? Ditto. 4? In addition. This was going to be a bad batch, sighed Sarutobi. 5? Yes. 6? Fail. 7? They frighten me. Everyone turned to look at Kakashi, and Sarutobi asked, What, Kakashi? They frighten me. Would you mind explaining? They are frightening. Oops, I forgot I gave you Naruto. My advice is to let him do his own thing. You'll regret it if you don't, Sarutobi winced. All of the Junin's eyebrows rose, including Kakashi's. Why, May I inquire? Said Asuma. You know my old sensei, the really scary one? The one with the same name as Naruto? Sarutobi asked. Oh dear God, please don't tell me. Asuma sighed. He returned, and he returned angry. Asuma paled even more and dropped his cigarette as he shivered in fear. His father had told him many stories about the terrifying Naruto Senju. They were all screwed if that kid could scare his father, still scare his father. Are you sure it's him? I am certain. Dear God, if he's on a warpath, God help us all. Yes, indeed. Now, Team 8? It's possible. 9 are still in use. 10? It's possible. 11? It's possible. 12? It's possible I'll pass. Thank you, and good luck on your tests tomorrow. Oh, and Kakashi, under any circumstances, do not tell Naruto to come after you with the intent to kill, or you will die regretting it. Kakashi looked concerned and nodded, all right, I won't. Thank God. I don't want to replace you. You're free to leave. They can't go on AC rank yet, Hokage-sama. They're not ready. Frowned Iruka. Example, send Naruto? Sighed Sarutobi. Iruka cowered as Naruto nodded and the room was flooded with killer intent. Naruto drew it back and resumed his nonchalant demeanor. Even Kakashi appeared shaken. I think they're ready, Iruka, Sarutobi said, looking at Iruka. The Hokage threw the mission scroll at Kakashi, escort mission to the wave. You're guarding a bridge builder by the name of Tizuna. Tizuna, come in. The door opened, and an old man smelling of sake entered, guzzling more sake. Naruto sneered at the strong odor of alcohol, and a well-aimed kunai knocked the sake bottle to the ground, shattering it. I smell the alcohol on you, old man. It disgusts me. I will not tolerate it, Naruto said. You're my guard, Gaki. You have no say. As Naruto stalked forward, Sarutobi paled in horror and quietly backed up against the wall. He approached the bridge builder and said quietly, what did you say? I hope you weren't insulting me. You no, I wasn't, Mr. Ninja sir. Tizuna paled at the killer intent that washed over him. That's what I thought, Naruto said as he backed away, his eyes unnervingly red. Ahem, yes, do you take the mission, Kakashi? Said Sarutobi, slipping back into his seat.
Yeah, we'll take it, Kakashi said, nodding.
Fine, Tizuna wants to leave in 2 hours. Gate in an hour, team. Pack for a month-long trip. We don't know how long it will take, Kakashi said, nodding. They nodded and then vanished. What exactly is it, Sakura? This is my bag. It's a suitcase, Naruto said, his eye twitching. It's a month-long journey. You don't need a suitcase. What kind of kunoichi takes a suitcase on a mission? I have to look good for Sasuke-kun. You wouldn't believe it. Naruto's eye twitched again, and he took a deep breath. I will let you know that we will not assist you in carrying that. It is entirely your responsibility. Sasuke-kun, will you help me? Will you, Sasuke-kun? No. What the heck, why not? It's a suitcase, not mine. I brought a single bag, Naruto brought a single bag, Kakashi brought a single bag. No one but you brought a suitcase, so it's your problem. But Sakura's jaw dropped. No, it's your problem. Deal with it yourself, Naruto cut her off. Are we ready to go? Asked Kakashi. Naruto noticed Kakashi looking at the pedal. As soon as they passed it, two nins jumped from it and tightened a chain around the Junin. Kakashi, or more accurately, his Kawaramid logs, exploded in a hail of blood. One piggy down, the nins laughed. They tried to attack Naruto next, but he effortlessly drew Shirayuki and slashed through them as they passed him. Their eyes widened as blood splattered across the clearing, and Naruto shook the blood from his blade before turning to face Tazuna. "Explain, now, or we have one less client," he said. "I Gato. We're building the bridge, and Gato doesn't want it finished, but Wave is too broke to pay for a higher ranked mission, so we had to. Please don't quit." "I'll die," Tazuna said palely. "I don't care if you die." "You lied. They're just kids who haven't even killed yet. If we keep going and one of them dies, I'll take it out on your head. Do you understand?" "Yes." I was going to say something similar, but Naruto has covered the bases. The question is, do we continue? Kakashi jumped down as Naruto moved his blade away. Sakura said no right away, but Sasuke paused for a moment before asking Naruto, "Do you think we can handle this mission, Naruto?" "Yes, with me on the team."
Do you want to?
Sasuke appeared to weigh things in his mind before nodding. "Yeah, I'll continue." "I go where Sasuke goes," Naruto said after a brief silence. "What do you want to do, Kakashi? Who are you really?" Kakashi asked, looking at him with his blade. "Naruto." No response. "Even the Hokage is terrified of you." "Fine, Naruto Senju."
Tobirama Senju's only son.
Naruto Uzumaki nearly died, so my old memories surfaced and I bonded with them. "You're Naruto Senju? Dear God, no wonder Hokage-sama was afraid of you. Now I understand why he said not to tell you to come after me with the intent to kill," Kakashi said, pale. Naruto nodded. "Indeed, shall we proceed or not?" "If you're that Naruto, we'll keep going." "Alright, Bridge Builder, today is your lucky day. Let's go." Kakashi, S-Class Nin incoming. "I felt him, Naruto." "Understood," Naruto said, spinning around and grabbing Sakura and Sasuke's heads. "Get down." Kakashi pushed Tazuna to the ground, and a massive sword slashed through the nearby tree, sinking at least 6 inches into the bark. Naruto cast a glance at Zabuza Momochi, the bloody demon of the mist. Kabikirabocho was the name. This mission has just become much more dangerous. Well done. You sensed me. You won't be so lucky again, a man said as he landed on the sword. Really? We won't? That's rich coming from you, the man who was lucky enough to be able to kill his entire class of genin. Lucky enough to have training in the use of the sword beforehand. Naruto laughed coldly. You know what I did, but you're not afraid? Of you? As if. I've met far scarier people, far more talented and fearsome than you. You're just a baby demon. Who the hell are you to say such things to me, genin? Snarled Zabuza. A rank is just a title. You have no idea how much I've been withholding. How about we find out? But Naruto, he's extremely dangerous, Kakashi said. So was Madara, Naruto smirked, but I sparred with him all the time, until he left the village. Kakashi's pupil dilated. He had forgotten who this Naruto was. Alright, he's yours. Let's dance, Zabuza Momochi, Naruto said as he stood up, cracking his neck and smiling darkly. The sound of metal on metal and the splashing of water clones that were destroyed filled the next few minutes. Exhilarating laughter quickly followed by Naruto's voice, someone who knows how to fight. Everyone else is pathetic, but this is a real battle. I agree, kid. I haven't had this much fun in ages. More clanging, then a pained cry, and Zabuza collapsed to the ground, a gash across his chest. I shall be your executioner, Zabuza Momochi, Naruto said as he landed and brandished Shirayuki. Two senbon sped from the tree and pierced Zabuza's throat, causing him to fall to the ground limply and drop Kabikirabocho. Naruto's eyes narrowed as a hunter nin approached and took the body and weapon without saying anything.
Hunter Nin immediately burned the body.
The body was not taken with them. So be it. Later on, he'd get a good fight. He's not actually dead, but he's gone now. He sheathed Shirayuki and turned to face the others. We can go to my house, Tazuna said, and you are welcome to stay there until your mission is completed. We'll take it. Lead the way. I need to talk to Naruto, Kakashi said, nodding. So, Naruto. Have fun? Tazuna nodded and took the lead, and Kakashi fell into step next to Naruto, whose eyes darted around looking for enemies. Best fight I've had in a long time. I'm hurt. Your genin test wasn't difficult? No, it wasn't. You're an excellent fighter, I'm sure, but you hold back when training, and that's simply not enough to challenge me, Naruto deadpanned. Well, we'll have to have a real spar sometime then, Kakashi said with a pout and an eye smile. Of course we should. When are we going to return? Sure. Then it's scheduled. Naruto estimated that Zabuza would be back in a week, so he decided to spend that time training Sasuke. They were currently in the backyard, and Sasuke was attempting tree walking. He was making headway, albeit slowly. Sakura had refused to train, much to his dismay and expectations, but Naruto had dismissed it. If the stupid girl wanted to die, she would. It wasn't his issue. It was her decision. Damn it. Why can't I get it? Said Sasuke again. You keep getting blown off. Try using a little less chakra. Just think, once you're done with this, I'll teach you water walking, Naruto said. Walking on water? It's like tree walking, but with water. Sasuke's eyes shone with new determination as he returned to the tree. Naruto chose to sit and meditate. He crossed his legs and easily relaxed into a meditative state. His senses expanded to cover the area around him. For the next mile and a half, he could see everything that moved. He was content. After completing the tree walking exercise, Sasuke sat on a tree branch and looked down at his friend, who was sitting completely still with his eyes closed. He watched with fascination as small plants sprouted from the ground around him. All of the flowers in the area bloomed. All of the leaves on the tree appeared to be turning greener. The birds appeared to begin singing. Ferns began to grow thicker. The animals became more vocal. The small plants around Naruto grew taller and blossomed. With wide eyes, Sasuke observed. Being so in tune with nature was a great accomplishment that only Hashirama Senju had achieved. Naruto opened his eyes after a few moments to reveal a green line glowing around the edges of his irises. It vanished quickly, and the plants stopped growing, though they remained tall and proud. You finished, Naruto said as he looked up at him. I did, indeed. Do you want to start water walking now or later? There's a pond nearby, Naruto said. We still have an hour before dinner. Naruto nodded and led him to where he had detected water. The trick is that water is not a stable surface. As a result, you need to constantly fluctuate the amount of chakra in your souls. This will probably take a few days to get, but it's well worth it, especially in wave country where water is everywhere, he said as he walked out onto the surface. Sasuke nodded and slowly placed his foot on the water's surface. He placed chakra on his soles and took a cautious step outside. He'd gotten about a step and a half before falling in with a splash. Naruto hid a small smile and sat on the water's surface to observe. People like Kakashi preferred that people figure out what they were doing wrong on their own, but Naruto preferred to point out minor issues and interact with his student, if he could call Sasuke that. Naruto kept a close eye on Sasuke as the chakra entered the boy's soul. You're making a solid layer of chakra on your souls. Try making it fluctuate, Naruto said after splashing in again. Sasuke glared at him and then tried it again, taking 3 steps this time. Perfect, Naruto said, nodding. That night, a drenched Sasuke and a proud Naruto entered Tezuna's house. Sasuke had already taken 5 steps, a huge accomplishment for someone who was just getting started, and he only demonstrated that he would continue to improve quickly. Said Kakashi, looking up at Sasuke. Water walking, as you can tell, we're just getting started, Naruto said with a smile. What about tree walking? Kakashi asked, his eyes widening. He got it in a few hours and wanted to go water walking right away. I see, Kakashi said with a smile, well, good job, Sasuke. Where's Sakura? She refused to train with us. I have no idea. I tried to get her to join, but she didn't want to learn from the loser, Naruto sneered. That girl is going to be the death of me. She has no idea what it means to be a kunoichi, Kakashi sighed. Yes, I've seen. It's pathetic. Naruto nodded. Sasuke, on the other hand, lives up to the name genius. He's already taken 5 steps on the water. 5? Already? That's impressive, Kakashi said, raising an eyebrow. Would you like to go get some dry clothes before dinner? Naruto asked, nodding. With a nod, Sasuke led the way up the stairs. They arrived at the boys' room, and Sasuke entered, only to yell and flee seconds later, help. Naruto raised an eyebrow, and Sakura dashed out, makeup on and hair perfectly brushed, wearing very revealing clothes. When Naruto saw Sasuke dodge, the hall was filled with killer intent, all aimed at Sakura. This is what you were doing instead of training. Do you want to die? You think looks are more important than life? You're a fool. If I see this again, I will request you be removed from the ninja program, and I am very influential with the Hokage. Do you understand? She shook in fear and nodded, and the killer intent was gone. She bolted from the corridor, and Naruto pinched his nose. There you go, Sasuke. You may change now. Thank you, Naruto, Sasuke said, nodding. I got in there and she tackled me and tried to pull off my shirt. If there's one thing I despise with a passion, it's fangirls. I've had experience, Naruto shuddered. Experience? Raised Sasuke's brow. Yes, the only son of the second Hokage, who was 16, straight, and sported an athletic build, and I was mobbed with fangirls. Until I told them all I was gay, and they ran away, but I got a month free. Gay? Chuckled Sasuke. Yes. I see, I'll give it a shot. Feel free, but it's not working. Go ahead and change, and I'll wait out here just in case. Sasuke nodded and returned to his room to change. Naruto heard footsteps and turned to see Inari, the client's grandson, approaching him down the hall. Is there anything you need? He asked the little Gaki. What brings you here? Please excuse me? What are you doing here? You're going to die. Am I really? I died and came back to life once. You don't think I can do it again? I'm from 60 years ago. The past? Inari's eyes widened. Yes, my old name was Naruto Senju, and I was feared by everyone I met. I've dealt with mob bosses before, and Gado will be no different. I've heard of your father, but I won't be like him. He was a hero, and he was cut down. What makes you think you can do it? Exclaimed Inari. I'm not a hero. I'm a hired assassin who has never failed in an assassination, which is why I will succeed. I'm not a hero. I'm a killer who hides in the shadows and strikes when you least expect it. You mean heroes don't exist? Inari's eyes widened and his face fell into thought. No, that's not what I meant. I know some heroes, including my uncle, but I am not one. It takes great courage to be a hero. It's up to you to decide what to do with your life. No one else can change it. Pretend Gado isn't there, because he won't be when I'm done. Do you believe I can be a hero? Do you believe you have what it takes to be a hero? Just then, Inari was summoned to dinner and asked Naruto, "Are you coming?" When my teammate finishes changing. Today he was learning to walk on water. Can you walk on water? Dinner, Inari. Yes, Naruto said, nodding. Would you mind showing me? Dinner, Inari. Come down tomorrow before your mother gets upset. Alright, Mr. Ninja, I'll keep you to that. I'll think about it. Inari. Mom, here I come. Naruto was filled with dread. That was never a good thing for him. It was always true. They were going to guard the bridge, and he had left clones at Inari's house in case anything went wrong. The scent of blood filled the air as they approached the bridge. Zabuza is here. Stay on guard, Naruto said, his eyes narrowing. Naruto, you and Sasuke take his accomplice, Sakura, guard Tazuna, and I'll take on Zabuza, Kakashi said, nodding. Alright. Don't die. That'd be difficult to explain to Saru-chan, Naruto said after a brief pause. Only you would call me the Hokage. I'm not going to die. Good. Naruto dodged another Senbon hail, his gaze darting around the ice dome. He had to admit that this was an impressive jutsu. He could probably replicate it with Shirayuki's assistance. That wasn't the issue right now. He couldn't follow the Nin through the mirrors because she was too fast. Both he and Sasuke were covered in Senbon, and a few of them had slowed his muscle reaction. He was not, however, Naruto Senju if he couldn't defeat his opponent. He looked up when he heard a cry and saw Sasuke clutching his arm, which was now useless by his side. His eyes widened as he noticed a flash of red. The Sharingan had been reawakened by Sasuke. As blood trickled from his lips, he felt some Senbon pierce through his neck, barely missing any vital spots. When Sasuke saw him, his red eyes widened and he rushed forward. When Naruto looked around and saw a hail of Senbon approaching, he gasped as he realized Sasuke's plan. However, he was too late, as Sasuke jumped in the way. His eyes widened as he noticed Sasuke stumbling and coughing up blood. You idiot. I could have dodged those. What were you thinking? Said Uchiha as he fell backwards. I wasn't. My body moved on its own. I promised to stay alive and kill my brother. Please. Naruto. Don't let your dream die, Sasuke said. As Sasuke's eyes closed, Naruto's widened. As more blood trickled from his lips, the Uchiha's hand fell to the side and his head tipped sideways. Not again. Not another Uchiha. Not another Izuna. I won't. Naruto's head whipped up to look at the nin, and he felt evil chakra flowing through his coils. The fox's name. The chakra of the fox. I'm going to kill you. You taken him. You taken my brother. You're dead. Roots erupted from the ground, shattering the ice mirrors. The chakra tried to take over Naruto's reason, but he pushed it aside and took the power for himself, overwhelming the fox's influence. You took him. You're dead. I'll rip you to shreds. Naruto shattered the mirrors. He dropped Sasuke and vanished in a red blur. Under her mask, Haku's eyes widened as she sensed a presence behind her, followed by blinding pain in her back as Shirayuki cut through her. Naruto flicked the blood from his blade with a red glare as her body fell to the ground. He'd done it yet again. He'd lost the man he considered to be his brother. He wasn't strong enough. He hadn't arrived on time. Again. He'd lost his only friend yet again. He quickly landed and willed the fox's chakra away before charging toward Sasuke. He approached the Uchiha and gently picked him up, holding him in his arms delicately. He'd done it yet again. He had failed to safeguard his family. He couldn't stop a tear from falling down his cheek. He considered crying to be a sign of weakness. He hadn't shed a tear since Izuna. But he couldn't help himself. He'd lost his family once more. Because he wasn't in time. Sasuke was floating in a never-ending blackness. What happened to him? What was the situation? He noticed a light and immediately began walking towards it, wondering what was going on. He entered a room that resembled his room at the Uchiha compound and looked around with interest. He heard light breathing and turned around to see a male asleep on his bed. He crept closer, his eyes widening as he recognized the similarities between himself and the man. It was unsettling how similar they appeared. The only difference was the man's long ponytail running down his spine. He reached out a cautious hand and shook the man's shoulder. He didn't get a response, so he shook him again, saying, "Hey, wake up. Who are you?" The man groaned and opened his eyes, revealing the same one as Sasuke's. When Sasuke turned to face him, the man's eyes widened and he scrambled backwards in surprise. He suddenly clutched his head in pain, then returned his gaze to Sasuke. "You're my reincarnation." "What?" exclaimed Sasuke. "Somehow, our soul has stored away my memories and kept them," the man said after a brief silence. "Is it similar to Naruto?" "Naruto? Naruto Senju? I had a friend named Naruto." "You still do?" "I mean, we do." "My friend is a reincarnation of Naruto Senju," exclaimed Sasuke. The man's eyes widened, and he smiled. Of course he wouldn't stay dead. He's too stubborn. He paused, then asked, "What do you want to do?" "What? Do you want to become like Naruto, with memories of your past life, or not?" "You're only dead for a short time." "Yeah, let's do it," Sasuke said after a brief pause. "My name is Izuna Uchiha, and let's get started," the man said with a smile. Sasuke, Izuna? He decided to stick with Izuna for the time being, opening his eyes groggily to feel the shaking. When he looked up, Naruto was bent over him, tears streaming down his cheeks and his eyes closed as he silently sobbed. His pupils dilated. He had no idea Naruto was so concerned about him. "I'm not dead yet, Senju," he said with a heavy voice, cracking a smile. Naruto froze, his eyes wide open and filled with tears. "Oh, thank God. Thank God you're alive. I didn't lose my brother again," he exclaimed as he clutched the Uchiha tighter, pulling him into his chest. Izuna exclaimed, his eyes widening in surprise. Naruto regarded him. As a brother? He had no idea. "I feel alive," he chuckled weakly. I feel a lot of pain." "Yeah, I'm not surprised," Naruto said with a wet smile. Naruto froze and his eyes widened in surprise. Izuna had no idea why until his long draping hair was grabbed and gently yanked. Izuna?" said Naruto, his eyes filled with desperate hope. "Good guess, as always," Izuna said with a smile. "It's you? It's really you?" exclaimed Naruto. "It's me, and it appears you're not the only reincarnation. Izuna. I've been mourning you all this time. You're alive. You're really alive." He was suddenly squeezed. Naruto burst out laughing, and Izuna wheezed, "Can't breathe." He was quickly let go, and Naruto blushed, "Oops. Oops. That's all you have to say? Do you know how much these senbon hurt?" Izuna said dryly. "Oops, and I'm sorry?" winced Naruto. "That'll do. Help me get up. I sense more people coming, hostile ones," Izuna sighed. "Have you noticed them? I've been feeling them for a while, but you were more important to me." "Yeah, family first, right?" Izuna smiled. "First and foremost, family. Please take my hand." Izuna grabbed Naruto's hand, and Naruto drew him up, but before he could let go, he felt a jolt run through his body, and he yelped, "What was that?" "You need chakra. Warn me next time," Izuna said, glaring at his friend. "I'll make sure of it. Now, how are you?" "Yeah, I'm good," Izuna said, stretching and rolling his joints. "I think I can get water walking now." "Smartass. Of course you can. I call it cheating," Naruto snorted. Izuna chuckled, and they heard many feet as the mist cleared. "It seems Zabuza was not the demon he said he was if he was killed by you. Good thing. Now you're weakened and easy to destroy. Men, get them. The one who kills the bridge builder gets an extra 1,000 ryo," said a small man dressed in fancy clothes. Before looking at Naruto, the men charged, and Izuna tested his chakra levels. Naruto immediately recognized the message and began performing hand seals faster than the eye could follow. They both put their hands to their mouths and inhaled deeply. "Fire style. Dragon Emperor's flames," said everyone at once. Twin fire dragons sprayed from their mouths, striking the men. Screams of pain began to echo through the air almost immediately. When the dragons vanished, there were no survivors, and Izuna collapsed to his knees in exhaustion. Naruto immediately knelt and wrapped Izuna's arm around his shoulders and a hand around Uchiha's waist to keep him from falling. "They're dead." He staggered back over to where Kakashi was staring at them in shock, stopping in front of the Junin. I see what you mean. That was quite effective. Yes, but now Sasuke is tired, and he has almost no chakra left. Let's go back to your house. These boys need rest. That was a very energy-consuming jutsu, Kakashi said to Tazuna. Of course, we'll go. They stayed for another week and a half until the bridge was completed, narrowly avoiding Kakashi's suspicions about Izuna. They didn't want anyone to find out until Sarutobi did. Of course, the majority of the time was spent sparring. Naruto was relieved to have someone his level to fight with, even if they could only do so when it was Kakashi's turn to guard the bridge, which was fine with them. Sakura was the real issue. Izuna had always despised fangirls, and she was testing his patience. He was on the verge of throttling her, but Naruto kept him calm, just barely. They were finally on their way back to Konoha, much to Izuna's relief because he could use patrols with Naruto to avoid Sakura. When they arrived in Konoha, they went straight to the Hokage's office to report on their mission. Sarutobi was angry, not enraged, but angry. He was furious that the client had lied about the mission's difficulty, but he was also relieved that Naruto was on the mission, because otherwise, Team 7 would not have returned. When Kakashi finished speaking with the Hokage, Naruto and Izuna remained in the room while everyone else left. "What is it, Sensei? Something to add perhaps?" Sarutobi inquired of Naruto. "Indeed, there is, and I believe you'll be quite shocked and possibly horrified, as you were with me. What's going to be my heart attack for the day?" Sarutobi wondered. "Did you ever think Sasuke looked a lot like Izuna Uchiha?" Naruto chuckled as he drew Izuna forward. "I did," Sarutobi said, looking at Izuna. "Why? Is Sasuke a direct descendant?" "I have no idea. All I know is that he now resembles my old best friend." "And why could that be?" "Because Sasuke nearly died on the mission, and he reawakened some old memories." "Oh God, please no. One apocalypse is enough," Sarutobi pleaded. "Is there something wrong?"
"No, none," Sarutobi said loudly, "but I can assume that young Sasuke is actually Izuna Uchiha."
"How did you guess?" said Naruto brightly. Sarutobi paled even more before clearing his throat and saying, "Ahem, I see." "He looks shocked, Naruto." "You might have killed your Hokage and student," Izuna chuckled. "No, he'll be fine." "I'll be fine," Sarutobi interjected, "but what do you want to do about your name? Change it or keep it?" Naruto has already officially changed his to Senju, but he hasn't told anyone. "I guess. I'll change it to Izuna, but keep Sasuke as a second middle name in honor of my second parents," Izuna said, frowning. "What will you tell your friends, or rather teammates, seeing as Sasuke has no friends other than Naruto?" Sarutobi asked. "That I'd been going by my middle name, but I recently discovered that I was named after my great-grandfather, Izuna Uchiha, so I decided to go by my real name. Kakashi will probably figure it out on his own, so we'll tell him, but everyone else will get the cover story." "I'll get that sorted out by the time I leave tonight," Sarutobi said, nodding and writing it down on his paper. Naruto paused for a moment before saying, "Yeah, that's it. Before you go, Naruto, I'd like to inform you that you've been named the 5th Hokage and that there will be a council meeting tomorrow that I need you to attend, and I will be explaining your position there," the Hokage said, nodding. "I'll be there," Naruto said, nodding. "By the way, there's a seal on your desk that sends information to a secret base beneath Hokage Mountain, which I overrode for our private meeting. It's on the upper right corner, beneath the edge. Danzo." "Thank you, Naruto." "I will solve it," Sarutobi said, shocked and angry. "Good morning, Saru-chan. Are you sure you want to go?" "This civilian council sounds hateful," Izuna said as Naruto dressed in more formal clothes.
"I'll be fine, Zu," Naruto said, chuckling at his friend's concern.
"Alright, but be careful. They tried to put me in CRA when I was just Sasuke, and I rejected it. They'll try again with you. Bah, they can go suck a dick." "I'll be fine," Naruto said, waving his hand. "I should have remembered your attitude," Izuna chuckled, "but don't worry, you'll be fine.
Just flood them with killer intent and they'll piss their pants, especially Danzo, Kaharu, and Homura." He snickered. "They'll have heart attacks when they find out who you really are."
This'll be fun, Naruto cackled with an evil smile.
Izuna stepped back from his friend's maniacal laughter, wondering what monster he had unleashed.
Sarutobi sat in his chair in the council chamber, and everyone else followed suit.
This was a meeting he called to reintroduce their new hell. He meant Naruto, not hell, definitely not hell.
Naruto stood outside, waiting for his name to be called. I called this meeting to announce that I have chosen a new Hokage. There will be no argument on this matter. This person was named the next Hokage by Tobirama Senju himself many years ago. I have simply been holding his hat in my opinion, he said once everyone was seated. His former teammates leaned forward, excited, thinking it was one of them. He would be delighted to let them down. Many of you know him. I hope you believe in reincarnation, he smirked, seeing his old teammates come to a horrible conclusion, and he smirked, you may come in, sensei. The door creaked open, and Danzo, Homura, and Kaharu turned to face it with rising horror as they felt a very familiar chakra. Footsteps were heard, and a tall figure with long blonde hair entered and looked around. He found Sarutobi's old teammates and gave them all an evil smile before turning to Sarutobi and saying, "You called, Saru-chan?" That was the breaking point. He noticed the three people staring at him all pale and terrified. Yes, Naruto, I did. You see, I have announced that you will be taking your rightful place as the Hokage. It has waited for 50 years for you to take the hat. It was meant for you. My old teammates were just getting over their shock at your return to the world of the living, Sarutobi said with a smile.
The Kyuubi brat.
No. I will not follow a demon. One of the lesser civilians became enraged. Mentioning the demon is punishable by death, and I will be happy to comply, Naruto said as he pulled Shirayuki away from the civilian's corpse, wiping the blood from their clothes. Did you have to make a mess? Sighed Sarutobi. No, but it has more. Meaning, no? If you break the law in front of my eyes, you will be dealt with quickly and in a messy manner. Anbu, please remove the body, Sarutobi nodded and waved. Hello, Hokage-sama, 3 Anbu appeared and took the body away, leaving only the blood. Naruto sat in his old seat next to the Hokage's chair, crossing his legs and staring around the room with his mostly red eyes.
Anyone else?
Sarutobi asked, looking around the room. I call for death for killing a council member. He's just a demon, exclaimed one of the civilians. There was a flash of brown, followed by a spray of red, and the civilian's eyes widened before Naruto drew back the root he'd impaled the man with, and the body fell to the ground. Anbu. This one as well. Groaned Sarutobi, looking around, anyone else or was two enough? There was nothing else and he sighed in relief, good, I don't want to have to replace anyone else, though if they were fool enough to anger Naruto, they deserved death. They're lucky he made it quick.
Are you really Naruto Senju?
The son of Tobirama Senju? Danzo finally asked. Yes, Dan-chan, but why? Doubts? His eyes glowed dangerously. Danzo shook his head and said, no, no doubts, sensei, before returning to his seat. Good, now that that's out of the way, we can continue, Naruto said. Yes, we can. I plan on making Naruto Hokage right now, but keeping the fact hidden until after the Chunin exams. My old sensei named Naruto the next Hokage, but he was tragically ambushed and killed by a man seeking power. He woke his memories when he was attacked some time ago. He's got all of his former prowess back as well, and I have no doubt he could beat me if we fought. I accept, Naruto said as he grabbed the brim of the hat and tipped it, revealing one multicolored eye and a smile.
Naruto crossed his arms and leaned back as he completed paperwork for Sarutobi.
What do you need? You should be helping, said Sarutobi. Have you ever tried shadow clones? Sarutobi froze and then vaulted his face. No, but I will now. Thank you. No problem, but may I borrow the Senju scroll? I'd like to see any new jutsus created by my father after my death. Sure. Let me get it out of the vault, he said as he stood up and began opening the vault, and Naruto noticed a small glowing seal on the desk. Because this one was in a new location, the first had been removed and a second had been installed in its place. He stood there while the Hokage took the scroll and pressed his finger to the mark, pulsing chakra through it and completely destroying it. Here you go. Chunin exams are in a month. Are you competing with your team? Sarutobi said as he sat back down. Yes, as you know, it has to be a team effort, and it would be impolite to make them get a new teammate now, especially since Izuna is my close friend. How will you tell them about your lovely new hat? Izuna and Kakashi will be told, but Sakura is a blabbermouth. I'd love to tell my entire team, but telling her would destroy any secrecy we want to keep on the subject, as much as I want to see her face. She will not find out until the Chunin finals with everyone else. The warning you gave the council should keep them quiet, and if it doesn't they get executed, as I told them at the meeting. Sarutobi nodded. Naruto nodded, taking the scroll and standing. This is your 5th Hokage hat. It's yours to hold as proof in any unplanned for situations, Sarutobi said as he handed him his new hat. Thank you. Naruto said as he took it and sealed it into a sealing scroll. I hear Jiraiya of the Sannin, who is also my godfather, is coming to visit.
Do you know when?
During the month between the second and third parts of the exams, he's been planning to come train you, though I doubt you'll need it with that scroll in your hands. It also contains your second father's techniques, and he was planning on teaching you the Rasengan. Alright. Thank you, but I should probably get going. I'm grabbing some food and I want to look at this before I go to bed, Naruto said. Goodbye. Godem Hokage, Sarutobi said with a nod. Naruto smiled and nodded before disappearing in a blur of Shunshin. He arrived home, or rather the Uchiha compound, and smirked as he drew his hat from his bag and wore it. He shunshined to Izuna's main house and stepped inside to hear humming in the kitchen. He wandered until he saw Izuna cooking while wearing Sasuke's apron. Hello, Ruto. You're home late, he chuckled, as he did whenever he saw that apron, and Izuna didn't even look as he needed some dough for dumplings. I was at the council meeting dealing with pompous pricks and killing people. I apologize for the delay. I hope you'll still feed me. Killing people? Izuna chuckled. They said something unsavory about Kurama, so I killed them. Was there any other reason? I wanted to stab something to show that I wasn't a pushover. I see. Just to stab something, then I'll make enough for you. Thank you, Zu. You know, the Chunin exams are in a month, and I planned on entering with you guys. Soccer is useless, but I have a niggling suspicion, if the files I stole from Danzo are true, that Orochimaru will sneak into the exams and attempt to mark you, or rather Sasuke, with a curse mark and try to kill Saru. Izuna paused for a moment before nodding. Makes sense. I've heard Orochimaru was a pedophile who liked the bodies of little boys. I'd heard that too, but I won't let him touch you, Naruto shuddered. I believe I can manage myself. But what is the purpose of best friends? He noticed a smile on Izuna's face that he could see in the light. I don't know. No, but seriously, Izuna said, I'm glad you're here too. You're the only person I know in this timeline, and you're the only good sparring partner. Thank you very much, Naruto said with a smile. The Uchiha placed the dumplings in the pan before turning to face him, his eyes widening in surprise. Did you steal the Hokage's hat? Hey. I'm not a thief. Okay, I am, but he gave it to me. See the kanji for 5 on it? I'm the new Hokage as of tonight, though we won't tell anyone until the Chunin finals, and oh, I plan on making you the 6th once the time comes. You're the new Hokage? Izuna asked after a brief moment of silence. Yes, and you're the next one, so no dying. I'll try not to die again in that case, Izuna said, shaking his head. An Uchiha as Hokage. That'll be an experience. Yup. Oh, your food's burning, said Naruto, smiling. Shit. He shook the food quickly, and Naruto leaned back, crossing his arms and laughing as his best friend made food. It was amusing to watch him rush around, but Naruto had never learned to cook well, and he didn't want to upset the Uchiha. Team 7's 3 members sat waiting for Kakashi to arrive for training. Naruto became bored and took out the Senju scroll, unrolling it and inspecting it. He'd looked at it the night before, and as he read through the jutsus, he was overcome with sadness. He'd arrived at the Edo Tensei Jutsu and noticed a note that made his heart skip a beat. Tobirama Senju, the second Hokage, created Edo Tensei. He created it in the hopes of summoning his deceased son's soul from the pure world, but he ultimately decided to let his son rest in peace and never used the Edo Tensei for its intended purpose. It raises a soul from the dead in exchange for a living sacrifice and some of the summoned soul's DNA. He then decided to investigate this jutsu further. Orochimaru had no morals if he had heard correctly, and if the snake Sannin had seen this scroll, he would have learned the Edo Tensei. He desired to create a counter seal that would release the soul from the fabricated body.
He also hoped to go a step further and create a way for the soul to remain in the world of the living, which would necessitate a lot of work on seals.
He also wanted to learn his second father's personal jutsus, the Rasengan and the Hiraishin, which were improved versions of his first father's teleportation jutsu. He was currently reviewing the Hiraishin formula. Is that what I think it is? Izuna approached him. Do you want to take a look? Sure, seems interesting, they both said, as Sakura turned her nose up at Naruto and fawned over Izuna, staring creepily at his face and making him uneasy. Finally, Kakashi appeared with his trusted book, and Naruto rolled up the scroll and approached him. I have something I need to tell Kakashi, he said to Izuna. Will you keep any interruptions away, Zu? Of course, I'll watch. Have you heard of the new Hokage, Kakashi? Naruto asked as he led Kakashi to a small hidden cave. No, I haven't, Kakashi said, looking up from his book, but you have? You could say that, he said, putting up a barrier and unsealing his hat, placing it on his head. Is that? Kakashi's eyes widened in surprise, and his book fell to the ground. I'm the new Hokage as of yesterday, but it's a secret, so don't tell anyone. The only people who know are Sasuke, because I trust him with my life, Sarutobi, the council, and now you. We're not announcing it until the finals of the Chunin exams, which I'm taking with my team, and there's one more thing that only me, Sasuke, and the Hokage know. Kakashi, who had been stunned by his new title, snapped out of it. What is it? Have you heard of Madara Uchiha's younger brother, Izuna Uchiha? I have. It's Sasuke, and he's just like me. I see, that's why he knows you're the Hokage, isn't it? Kakashi's jaw dropped. It is. Well, I'll keep this a secret. Thank you for informing me, and I understand why Sakura can't. Thank you, now let's go back. Zu's probably wondering what's taking so long, Naruto said as he slipped the hat away. Zu? He only lets me call him Izuna's nickname. If anyone else tries, he kills them. Remember that. They returned to the others after Kakashi nodded. They climbed to the third floor of the academy, ignoring the genjutsu and making their way to room 301. The previous month had passed without incident. They had trained with Kakashi, learning a few new jutsus along the way, including the pseudo-Sharingan user's assassination technique, the Chidori. Naruto had learned the Rasengan in about 2 weeks and the Hiraishin in about the same amount of time. He'd been ecstatic to be able to travel so quickly that he was only a flash. He was now faster than both of his fathers. It was pleasant. He'd learned the fundamentals from Tobirama and honed them with Minato's notes and kunai. He'd also created a seal to counter the Edo Tensei, but he was still working on making it capable of holding the soul in the living world. He was confident he'd arrive before the finals, when Orochimaru was expected to attack. Suna, Sound, and Iwa were all allied to attack during the finals, according to new information, but that came from Danzo's spy network, which Naruto had hacked into. He didn't know how accurate it was, but he was a paranoid ninja, so he prepared for the worst. He'd hidden a Hiraishin seal on Sarutobi's battle armor, which he knew the man would be wearing, just in case. Izuna had learned Chidori, Reikiri, and several new fire jutsus. Naruto had learned the Chidori as well, but he didn't intend to use it very often because he preferred the Rasengan, which was created from scratch by one of his fathers. Izuna had also been practicing with his Mangekyu and discovered, to his surprise, that he wasn't experiencing any side effects. When he used them, his eyes should have started bleeding and his vision should have become blurry, but it didn't. Everything was fine. Both of them assumed that being reborn had given him essentially new eyes. Sasuke's had merged with Izuna's and bestowed upon him the eternal Mangekyu Sharingan, much to his delight. He didn't want to lose his sight. Sakura had only discovered that Izuna liked tomatoes. They had arrived for the Chunin exams. They entered the correct room and found Kakashi waiting for them. "Good luck," he said as he accepted their papers. "I was just here to make sure you came as a team." Naruto nodded, and they entered, only to be met with murderous intent. "Me or you, Zu?" said Naruto, picking at his nails. "I'll do it, and you'll cause heart attacks. You may proceed." Izuna nodded, and the room was immediately flooded with an insane killer intent that overpowered the others to the point of a landslide. Everyone turned pale, and a few knelt. "They're all weaklings. No worries, Ruto. They won't pose a threat to us. If they're afraid of me, you'll absolutely terrify them," Izuna said boredly to Naruto. "Pity," Naruto said as he nodded and looked around. "You stole my brother's line, but yes, there will be no good dances here except maybe that grass kunoichi over there that reeks of deception and power," Izuna chuckled. Naruto focused on the grass nin in order to detect the snake. Orochimaru. He'd been correct. He'd leave the Sannin for the time being, but if he caused trouble, he'd fight and hopefully kill him. A pain. I wanted to kill some people. "I guess I'll just go for slaughter," Naruto said, nodding. A few people paled, but they were still immobilized by Izuna's ki. "Oops, forgot you're all weak. This kind of killer intent is really low for me. I'll remove it if you're having trouble," Izuna said. It lifted, and several teams left, grumbling about not having to fight monsters. "So weak that it's painful to watch," Naruto observed, "but they'd all die anyway. I do love ending pathetic things. You and your bloodthirst, it'll be the death of me," Izuna rolled his eyes. "I don't hurt my team. Okay, rescind that, my friends," Naruto said with a fake pout. Yeah, let's sit down," Izuna chuckled. They sat down, and a silver-haired boy who also smelled like snakes was about to approach them when a puff of smoke appeared at the front of the room. "Sit down, maggots." Let's get started. In the second part of the exam, they jumped through the trees, and Naruto sensed a strong chakra approaching. Here comes the snake, Zu. I picked up on him. What do you want to do? Guard Sakura. I'll deal with hubby Teme. I was going to leave him, but he's crossed the line by attempting to harm you. That I cannot accept. Izuna smiled fondly at Sakura's protectiveness before grabbing her and leaping higher into the tree, masking his chakra. Sakura's was so low that you couldn't tell. Naruto drew Shirayuki and prepared himself. Soon after, a giant snake appeared with the grass nin from before on its head, and Naruto said, I was waiting for you to show your ugly face, Orochimaru. I knew you were coming months ago. Nice try, though. You did, didn't you? Who are you? Orochimaru's eyes narrowed. Oh, you forgot about me? You hurt me. You've never met me, but surely you've heard of Naruto Senju, and surely you believe in reincarnation? I've heard of you, yes, but you were powerful years ago, and you're no match for me, Orochimaru said, his eyes widening and then narrowing again. Really? You think you can beat the Hokage in an all-out battle? That's laughable. I'll feed your corpse to Itachi's crows. Itachi, bet you know him. He utterly humiliated you with his Tsukuyomi. Pathetic. I've met stronger than him and won. You don't stand a chance, Naruto smirked. How do you know that? Growled Orochimaru. I have my sources, and then there's the man himself. I met him about 3 weeks ago when he was near Konoha, and he seemed like a decent guy. Izuna had also been there, and had remained calm enough for Itachi to explain what the Uchiha massacre really was. I will kill Itachi Uchiha. Then you will realize how outmatched you are. Orochimaru raged. Oh, please. You're not leaving this forest, and if you do, you'll be crippled for the next month while your little boy toy medic Nin heals you. Die, you insect. Naruto grinned. People who were enraged made mistakes. Orochimaru's snake lunged forward, but Naruto's water whip sliced off the snake's head, and it poofed away into smoke. Orochimaru's eyes widened at the sudden death of his summons, but he ignored it and jumped forward again. Naruto avoided the snake Sannin, swinging Shirayuki. It just missed Orochimaru, who dodged, and Naruto spun in midair, a Rasengan forming in his hand. It slammed into Orochimaru's back, launching the Sannin into a tree. Orochimaru screamed and ripped his fake face off, tossing it to the side before charging again. Naruto simply leapt above him, and Orochimaru spun around, making quick hand seals, earth-style, stone bullets. Stone bullets sped from his mouth, aimed at the boy above him, and Naruto's eyes widened before spinning in midair, narrowly avoiding the stones. His water whip cleaved through Orochimaru, causing the man to dissolve into mud, and he spun in time to avoid a fire gout from above. He pulled his Hiraishin kunai from his holster as they both landed. He hurled them at Orochimaru, who narrowly avoided them, saying, "You missed me." Did I really say that? Orochimaru's eyes widened as the Senju faded to a simple yellow flash, and he cursed and spun just in time to block a kick, but he missed Shirayuki, who slashed across his stomach. He spit blood and began making quick seals again, fire-style, Great Fire Dragon Emperor's Raging Inferno. A huge dragon of fire flew from his mouth, and Naruto cursed and flashed out of the way, narrowly avoiding being turned to crisp. He appeared from behind Orochimaru and slashed through him. Orochimaru screamed, then spat. Himself. The new Orochimaru quickly looked for a way out before sinking into the earth. Naruto slammed his hand into the ground, sending a chakra pulse through it. He felt Orochimaru below him and jumped up, swinging Shirayuki down and slicing into the Sannin's hands. They quickly withdrew, and Orochimaru vanished, leaving Naruto in the dark. He cursed lightly before leaping into the trees to find Izuna and Sakura. He's left. Good. Now let's head to the tower before anything else happens. Izuna sighed. I thought you were a goner for a second. Sakura just glared at Naruto for interrupting her Sasuke-kun time. What a spectacular fight. Ha. I'm sure I could do better. Naruto and Izuna were dumbfounded by her stupidity until Izuna began laughing. You think you could do better? That was Orochimaru, the snake Sannin. You'd be dead in 0.2 seconds. Was that Orochimaru? Sakura exclaimed. Yeah, it was. He was after Izuna, so I got rid of him.
Wouldn't want to ruin Izuna's looks, Naruto chuckled.
I hate you, Izuna said as she stopped laughing. Never, Naruto smirked. For the semifinals, all of the fights are the same as canon. I didn't want to write them all down because then I'd have to spend a long time watching and writing down each fight. Meh. Everyone who passes in the original does the same in this story. D. Naruto wandered Konoha in search of Jiraiya. He'd already spoken with Sarutobi, and the old man had told him that Jiraiya was somewhere in the village. He eventually found the man sitting in a tree, looking down into the hot springs girl's side, and his eye twitched. He hated perverts. He flashed a dark smile and used a jutsu he had created before gaining his memories. Sexy jutsu.
He exclaimed, transforming into a beautiful woman with raven black hair and
Ahem, nice assets, albeit dressed in a towel. Eep. A pervert. He's looking in the woman's hot springs. He exclaimed. There was an instant commotion, and Jiraiya only had time to widen his eyes before the enraged mob surrounded him. Naruto chuckled darkly and then did a henge to appear taller with the Hokage's robes on. He put on his hat and covered his face before asking, "What's going on here?" Hokage-sama, this pervert was looking in the baths on the woman's side. We were just punishing him, the women turned and froze. I see, Naruto said, nodding. You may return. I will handle him. Thank you, Hokage-sama. He approached Jiraiya and kicked the twitching man, saying, Oi! Wake up, pervert-san. No, just let me die. Alright, fine. In that case, I'll get the ladies to come back. Jiraiya jumped up, fearfully looking around. No. Not the women. Then move your $1 away from the hot springs, because I despise perverts. Jiraiya narrowed his eyes and asked, Who are you? You're not sensei. No, you're right. I'm the Godem Hokage that they named a month ago. Of course, you weren't here for that, nor were you here to raise your godson. I'm disappointed. Now, get your sorry ass up. I was looking for you. Sarutobi didn't mention a new Hokage, Jiraiya said, his eyes narrowed. Because he asked me to tell you. Who are you, and can I see your face? Really? Are you certain? I am, indeed. Alright. Since you weren't here to raise your godson, he raised himself better than you could. Naruto raised his head, and Jiraiya's jaw dropped at Naruto's long bangs framing his face. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze Senju at your service, though I just go by Senju, Naruto said, his eyes narrowing. There's no way. Jiraiya exclaimed, Really? Chuckled Naruto, throwing a Hiraishin kunai. That throw was weak. There's no way you're his son. Said Jiraiya. Naruto smirked and appeared in front of the man in a yellow flash, slamming a seal on his chest and then vanishing. Jiraiya's eyes widened as he pursued him, carrying the kunai with him. Naruto flashed from one seal to the next around the village, leaving Jiraiya with only a trail of yellow flashes to follow. When they arrived at Sarutobi's office, Naruto burst out laughing. "What did you do?" sighed Sarutobi, looking up to see his clothes. "There's an angry Sannin on my tail who believes I'm an imposter." "Of course there is, and of course you're encouraging it. I'm telling you, Sensei, you're going to be this old man's demise." "I know I am," chuckled Naruto, "but that's okay. You're all wrinkly anyway, Saru-chan." As Jiraiya flew through the window, Sarutobi just sighed again. Naruto laughed and dodged a punch, skipping around the room and laughing uncontrollably. Sarutobi simply resumed signing his papers, completely ignoring them. "Oh come on. Orochimaru was more of a challenge than you. What is this? You're so slow. It's like you're walking." Jiraiya aimed a punch, which Naruto dodged again. "Sensei. Who is this Gaki?" Jiraiya growled as he looked at Sarutobi, who was calmly signing his papers. "My sensei came back to life. That's why you can't hit him. He's Tobirama's son, Sensei's and Minato Namikaze's son. Watch out. He likes destroying things." "Oh, and he is the Godem Hokage as of last month," Sarutobi said without looking up. Jiraiya's jaw dropped, and Naruto sat in a Mokuton-shaped chair, crossed his arms, and said, "You ruined my fun, Saru-chan. He was making my papers fly all over the place. You're no good. I wanted to play tag with you." "Go play tag somewhere other than my office, Sensei. There's a forest of death. That should be fun. Nothing dangerous enough in there." "Oh. Jiraiya want to spar? If not, I could spar with Zu." "Spar?" Jiraiya asked, warily. "Yeah. Orochimaru was too short. And then he just left. I mean, I was only going to gut him." "Gutting someone makes them run, Sensei," Sarutobi said as he sighed and looked up. "Ah, pooh. No one is having fun anymore. You should stop bothering me now and go have fun with Izuna," Sarutobi said as he sighed. "Fine," Naruto sighed, winking at Jiraiya. "If you need me, I'm at the Uchiha compound." "Yane." Jiraiya looked at Sarutobi after he left. "That's the new Hokage?" "Yes, he was supposed to be the Hokage instead of me, so he takes 5th place." "Is that your old sensei?" "Yes, he is. He's quite unique, no? I can't tell if he's joking half the time. At his first council meeting, he killed 2 people and crippled a 3rd. He is a good person, though. He's just ruthless and cold when the need arises. He's especially protective of his friends, especially since he only has one." "Izuna Uchiha. What is that name?" "It's him. They both returned. You should take them until the Chunin finals. I need someone to find Tsunade and try to convince her to come back. The medical skills in our hospital are horrendous. I'm surprised they save anyone. Naruto's healing chakra is better than most of our doctors, and he only knows the basics taught to all senjus when they're young." Jiraiya remained silent for a moment before sighing. "Is he really Minato's son?" "He is, and didn't he come with the Hiraishin?" "He did. He's Minato's son, and he hasn't gone any further than Wave in the last 60 years. You should take them both to find Tsunade." "You really think I should take him?" "He's probably a better fighter than me," Jiraiya sighed. "They're both capable of defeating me in a fight. I guess I'll take them. When do we need to be back?" Jiraiya cleared his throat. Chunin Finals in a month, Naruto's new hat is being announced, and Orochimaru, according to him, plans to attack as well. Are you sure? Exclaimed Jiraiya. He is. He fought Orochimaru once and would have killed him if he hadn't fled. Jiraiya took it all in and nodded, okay. Uchiha compound, he said? Yes, he's probably sparring with Izuna, who, according to Naruto, is the only one capable of fighting. With or without Tsunade, we'll be back in 3.5 weeks. Go. Naruto nodded and said quietly, he's a pervert. At least he's not like Orochimaru with his little boys, Izuna said in a stage whisper. I can't tell you how many times I've told him that. He gets so mad when you call him a pedophile. Jiraiya exclaimed. That's how I got him angry in our fight, Naruto nodded. That'd do it, Jiraiya snorted. You should have seen the snake's face, Izuna chuckled, it was so funny, especially since he was pretending to be a woman at the time. Jiraiya burst out laughing once more, and Naruto smirked, so, Jiraiya, I hear you don't like Uchihas. Any particular reasons? One wronged me, Jiraiya said, looking at him and Izuna. It wouldn't happen to be my brother, would it? He was a jerk sometimes, Izuna chuckled. He defeated me at poker. Poker. That's priceless. He's done so much else in poker. Snorted Izuna, and Naruto burst out laughing. He probably cheated as well, my brother was good at that, Izuna said with a smile. He cheated? Growled Jiraiya. Most likely, Izuna said, but why? How much did you lose? 2 million Ryo. Please, I have that in pocket change, Naruto snorted. I'm not from an extremely wealthy family with 2, now 3, Hokages in it. Jiraiya scowled. Calm down, I'm talking about my missions. Missions? Izuna inquired, surprised. I send out about 50 hanged shadow clones a day to do D ranks. Jiraiya's mouth dropped open, you do what? You heard me, easy money, though I'm starting to dislike Tora. I know Tora. We had a cat just like her when we were training to be shinobi, Jiraiya chuckled. Have fun with that? I figured out a secret, but I won't say, Naruto smirked. No, I almost killed that cat, Jiraiya growled. Yes, I suppose, Naruto chuckled, you are an impatient one. Jiraiya was now scowling at him, I despise you. When they arrived in Rice Country and found Tsunade, Naruto scoffed silently, my niece has sunk low. Uncle Hash would be heartbroken if he saw this. You know her? Jiraiya inquired. When I died, she was 7 years old, and I used to call her Suhime-chan. Jiraiya raised an eyebrow, really? She was a nice little girl. Around me, while everyone else. Well, she adored me. I wonder. Stay here. Are you sure, Naruto? Jiraiya asked. Of course I am. If she attacks, I can handle it. I'll be back. They nodded, and he straightened his clothes before slipping in, making sure Shirayuki was straight in his sash. He crept over to where she was at the bar and sat silently next to her, watching her. He turned to the bartender, sake please, and she chugged another drink, ignoring him for the time being. What's up, ninja? Yeah, from Konoha. I'm looking for a family member, but I haven't found them yet. The bartender nodded and got him some sake, which he sipped while staring at Tsunade. You know, you're going to die of alcohol poisoning, he finally said. I'll be fine, brat. Don't bother me. What's the harm? I'm not in a good mood. Is it really because I'm from Konoha? I don't like Konoha. Why? You're not supposed to know. I don't? It's a shame I don't recognize you anymore. What are you on about? I don't recognize you at all, Suhime-chan. What a disappointment, that you turned into this. I despise drunks, but you already know that. Tsunade's head whipped up, and he leaned against the counter, his mainly red eyes fixed on her. What are you playing at? My uncle is dead. She exclaimed, her eyes widening. Really? I am? Pity. I thought I was alive, but oh well, guess I'll leave. Bye-bye Suhime-chan. He placed the money for the drink on the ground and walked out of the building. When he got outside, Jiraiya snorted, that didn't work. Any other bright ideas? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, he said, holding out his hand. Wait. Uncle, come back. Naruto smirked and said, told you, before turning around with his arms crossed and an eyebrow raised, yes? I thought I was dead. Tsunade came to a halt in front of him and looked him in the eyes, how are you here? I was at your funeral. Indeed? I'm here because I was resurrected. I came looking for my little princess, but I haven't found her yet. And I don't recognize you at all. Tsunade's face fell when he said, I'm right here, uncle. You've changed drastically, Tsunade. I understand. I lost everything to Konoha and I fled. I know you did, and I was disappointed when I found out. What would Uncle Hash think? I was overwhelmed, she said, crestfallen and embarrassed. Listen to me, Suhime-chan, you are better than that. You know that. I have, high hopes for you. You became a Sannin and served Konoha, but then you abandoned all that hard work for gambling and drinking. I would be lying if I said I wasn't disappointed, but I can say that I semi-understand. He sighed, I will share a secret. I did not awaken my memories until. She looked at him with shock, sadness, and shame before reaching up and grabbing the rim of his hat and sighing lightly, you want me to go back? I do. But. You, Dan, Nawaki, Grandpa, Great Uncle. I'm here now, and they won't let you leave your village. She remained silent before letting go of his hat and grabbing his shirt, pulling him towards her and then falling to her knees, pressing her face into his chest as he knelt down. It's up to you, Suhime-chan, but I'm there and I'm not leaving again, not if I have any say in the matter, and you know me, stubborn as a mule. It's really you, uncle, and I'm glad, she finally said, her eyes welling up. Do you want to come home with me? He softly asked, pulling her up. I do. That's great. It'll be nice to have some family there besides, Zu. Zu? Izuna. Uchiha? Her jaw dropped. Yes, Izuna Uchiha. He's been here the whole time, but you didn't notice him. He's over there behind Pervert-san. She snorted at Jiraiya's nickname before focusing on Izuna, who waved his hand and said, hello, Naruto's niece. My name is Izuna. I don't trust you, she said as she looked at him. Meh. Most Senjus don't, he said, waving his hand. Ruto is the exception. He actually lives with me right now because he doesn't feel like moving out. Lazy bum. Hey. I stay with you because it's so lonely in your compound. Plus there has to be ghosts. Snarled Naruto. I'm also a good cook. You are a good chef, but that's not it, Naruto said after a brief silence. I don't really care, Izuna chuckled, waving his hand again, I was just messing with you. Naruto gave him a brief glance before nodding and smiling brightly, alright. Now, who's ready to get moving? Family trip. Tsunade stifled her laughter, relieved to see her beloved uncle again. When they returned to the village 3 days before the final exam, Naruto took them to the Hokage's office. Sarutobi didn't even look up when he walked in through the window. Do you have to use the window all the time? There's a reason for the door, sensei. Meh, doors are for wimps. Sarutobi groaned, I see. How did the hunt go? They're on their way. I just spoke with my niece, and she agreed to return. Sarutobi raised his head, is she your niece? For a brief moment, I forgot you were Tobirama's son. Sensei's, was she taken aback? I walked out on her because she didn't believe me at first. She was on my tail in 5 seconds. She adored, and continues to adore, me. I see. Is she coming? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As soon as he said 1, the door opened and Tsunade entered, followed by Shizune. Jiraiya and Izuna appeared through the window and landed next to Naruto, and Tsunade joined them. Sarutobi gave her a friendly smile. Hello there, Tsunade. It's been a long time. It has, indeed. I apologize for simply leaving, but after everyone died and Orochimaru turned traitor, I had no choice but to leave. That is understandable. How was your international trip? It was pleasant. There was a lot of sake and gambling. And said in hushed tones, she was drunk when we found her. Tsunade glared at him and Sarutobi chuckled, indeed. Well, the reason I've summoned you, Tsunade, is that our medical nin are appalling. Naruto, with his basic Senju training, outperforms most of our doctors. I believe you can heal a boy who has been told he will be crippled for life and must give up his ninja career. That, and after Naruto wins the first match of the finals, I'll formally appoint him as my successor, as he has been for the past 2 months. He had the right. I returned it. Tsunade gave a nod, I comprehend. You want me to train doctors? Please. Ours are dreadful. Could you please come and try to heal Lee first? He's been depressed since they told him he'd be crippled for life. Of course I can, she said, nodding. Thank you very much. That was it. Let's go heal this Lee kid, Shizune, she nodded again, motioning for Shizune to follow her. Lady Tsunade, you are correct. Taunton, hurry up. Naruto took a seat in the arena, facing Neji, who was staring at him with arrogance. His brow furrowed, I'm sure you despise me for some strange reason. I see what you mean. What exactly irritates you so much about me? Neji's pupils constricted, you will be defeated. Why bother fighting me? Fate has declared me the victor. Really? Who is the victor? Fate is a jerk, or I wouldn't have been raised from the dead. I am, after all, from 60 years ago. Naruto Senju is the son of Tobirama Senju. I am also the son of Minato Namikaze and the nephew of Hashirama Senju, both of whom were Hokages in the past. Fate has the ability to suck my dick. Naruto shrugged as Neji looked at him with wide eyes, before falling into a ready stance and asking the referee, are we ready? Hajime, said the referee, before he quickly jumped back. He didn't want to be anywhere near this fight if what the boy said was true. Neji shook his head, falling into a crouch and staring at Naruto. Naruto drew 6 three-pronged kunai and threw them around the arena. Neji laughed, what on earth was that? It didn't even come close to me. Naruto grinned, no, it simply surrounded you. My fathers, both of them, were the fastest of their generation. You believe I'm not the same. You are a moron, Neji Hyuga. Neji growled angrily, and Naruto vanished in a yellow flash. Neji's eyes widened as he activated his Byakugan, spinning and blocking a kick with his arms. Naruto was gone once more, and a kick smashed into the Hyuga's back. He flew forward, then skidded, and his eyes darted around, trying to figure out where Naruto would appear next. There was a flash of yellow, and he raised a kunai to block a gleaming sword made of some kind of white metal, before Naruto vanished and a voice could be heard throughout the arena: fate. Destiny. They're insignificant. I don't believe in fate, and you make your own destiny, Neji said as he blocked another blow and Naruto vanished. Naruto's fist slammed into Neji's hastily crossed arms, sending him skidding. You're mistaken. Why did my father have to die if fate does not exist? What happened to my life after that? As Naruto's voice came back, there was another yellow flash and he was slammed forward, sending him tumbling. Everyone must visit the pure world at some point in their lives. Everyone perishes. Nobody can escape the Shinigami's icy grasp. It was your father's time to shine. He gave his life to save his brother. I know Hiashi swore to him that he would protect you, and so he went. He went to save his family, specifically his brother. I did the same thing. After that, you made your own life hell by shutting yourself off. Hinata tried to help you, didn't she? She looks up to you, but you avoid her. You destroy anything that could expose your heart because you don't want it to be broken, but loneliness is a cold existence. Naruto was now behind him, a sword aimed at his back. He barely managed to spin away from it. No. That is not something I believe.
I don't.
Everyone dislikes me, but I'm happy, and I have friends and family. Everything you cut yourself off from. You despise the main house because of the curse seal, correct? They have no say in the matter. That law is enforced by the elders, not Hiashi. Instead of succumbing to your fate, why not try to change the Hyuga for the better? In fact, the elders stole that seal from the Uzumakis, my family, and I have spoken with Hiashi about it. Naruto appeared in front of him, and wood wrapped around him, immobilizing him completely. As Naruto reached for his Hitai 8, Neji's eyes widened and he began thrashing. It was pointless. The same wood that trapped Biju and drained their chakra. He removed the bandages, and Neji began thrashing even more violently. No. Allow me to leave. What are you up to? Naruto simply pressed his fingers against Neji's cursed seal and completely destroyed it, pulling the seal off by force. Neji screamed in pain and arched his back, but Naruto yanked the seal off completely, leaving the Hyuga slumped and barely conscious. Naruto raised his eyes to the Hyuga elders. This is my family's seal, which you stole and mutated. If I see it back on him or if he is killed, I will come after each and every one of you and slowly rip you to shreds. I'll be visiting your compound and removing the seals of anyone who does not pose a genuine threat to the Hyugas. This is slavery, and I will not put up with it. Talk to the Hokage if you have a problem. He suddenly flashed an evil grin and took out his hat. Oh, that's right, that's me. Approximately 2 months ago. When he looked at Neji, he saw him slumped in the Mokuton, staring at the ground with unfocused eyes. Naruto knocked him out quickly, then released the Mokuton and caught him, gently lowering him to the ground. When the medics arrived, Sarutobi stood. I have a special announcement. The truth as told by Naruto. He is the Godaime Hokage and has taken my position as of 2 months ago. That's it. There was a collective gasp from the audience, followed by screams, and Naruto quickly collected his Hiraishin kunai before leaping into the Hokage's box next to Sarutobi. He took out his fifth Hokage cloak and put it on, letting the bottom flutter in the breeze like Minato's did when he first assumed the position. He straightened his hat and looked around before settling into the seat that Sarutobi had saved for him right next to his own. He immediately detected Orochimaru in the cage's position and noted it before Sarutobi motioned for the matches to begin and sat down again. He placed a seal on the third's arm and leaned in close enough for only Sarutobi to hear him say, "Orochimaru is the cage." Sarutobi nodded, and they returned their attention to the matches. Shino and Kankuro stepped up because Izuna's match had been moved to the end for some reason, but Kankuro immediately forfeited for some reason. After that letdown, Temari and Shikamaru's match followed, and Naruto was amused to see Izuna practically shove the lazy Nara into the arena. Shikamaru immediately went under a shady tree in the corner of the arena after the two competitors stood across from each other, assessing the other. Temari became agitated. "Hey! Come on out. It's a game, not a game of hide and seek." Shikamaru mumbled something, most likely the word troublesome, before putting his hands in the position Naruto recognized as his thinking position. Temari attacked after a few minutes, but Shikamaru jumped into the tree to avoid the gust of wind, pulling out some kunai and shuriken. He began throwing them at the girl in an odd pattern, and she continued to blast them away, until he threw a rather large shuriken at her, and Naruto saw what he was doing just before Temari did, but it was too late. She had been caught. Shikamaru slammed his hands into the ground and yelled something, and the shadows grabbed Temari, connecting them with the shadow of her fan. Before he looked up, he grabbed her and made her mimic him by doing a few things. "I give up. I've run out of chakra." Naruto masked a snort. He was simply lazy and didn't want to offend a woman. The match was called off when the proctor called Gaara and Izuna down, and they both jumped to land across from each other. Naruto was paying close attention to this match. He was aware that Gaara was a Jinchuriki. The fox had told him, but he also knew that even if Gaara became possessed, Izuna could easily handle a tailed beast as weak as the one tails. They stood across from each other, and Gaara's sand began leaking out of his gourd and curling around him as the proctor called for them to begin. It darted at Izuna, who pulled out his gunbai and blew it away with a gust of wind. He spun the gunbai, and tornadoes formed around him, speeding towards Gaara, who easily dodged, but his sand was sucked up and blown away. Izuna dodged a sand spike, kicked it off, and placed his gunbai on his back before performing a rapid succession of hand seals and exhaling a torrent of flame that turned a large portion of the sand to glass. Naruto laughed quietly. Izuna would triumph. "Something funny, Godem-sama?" Onoki asked. Naruto gave him a look. "Yes, Gaara cannot win against Zu. He is one of a kind. He's only ever been defeated by me. Is that correct?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "Indeed. We fight a lot. He reminds me of my brother." "Friends, Senju and Uchiha?" Madara and Hashirama were once friends, but Madara desired war. Izuna only wants peace and to resurrect his clan. "I see." When they returned to the battle, they noticed a sand hand wrapped around Izuna's hand, having grabbed it when he used a Chidori. Gaara roared and lunged forward with his sand, and Izuna quickly freed his hand. Izuna immediately activated his Sharingan, and the sand burst into flames. Naruto's pupils dilated. Was he already bringing that out? Then he was correct. The plan was to make Gaara insane and destroy the village. Gaara completed her transformation, and Izuna leapt backwards as feathers began to fall from the sky. When Naruto noticed everyone falling asleep, he cursed and dashed down to Izuna. If Madara was summoned, which he suspected he would be, he needed the Uchiha, so they needed to finish this together. Izuna saw him and knew right away what he was up to. He distracted Shukaku while Naruto formed a seal. Shukaku slapped Gaara, waking him up, before lifting his shirt and slamming the seal into his stomach, where the shoddy seal was. I don't. Here, mother, Gaara said, her eyes widening. Before he collapsed. Naruto placed him on the ground and noticed a barrier erecting around the Hokage's box. He grabbed Izuna and used the seal on Sarutobi to direct them to his location. They appeared next to him just as the barrier was about to close, and Sarutobi looked at him, then at the unconscious Gaara, before nodding and returning to where Onoki was speaking. We've reached an agreement with the Sannin Orochimaru and decided to finally wash our hands of Konoha. You'd join a traitor? Sarutobi's eyes narrowed. Power is power, they say. Naruto frowned as he noticed Orochimaru making some quick seals off to the side. 3 coffins began to rise, and he noticed the tip of the Uchiha crest on one of them. He turned to face Izuna. Remember what we discussed. You can either change him or send him back to the afterlife. It's entirely up to you, Zu. Saru can get Onoki and Orochimaru while I handle my father and uncle. By the end of this, we should have 3 new allies in Konoha. Izuna nodded and prepared herself. I know. I'll do my best. All I ask is that. Naruto turned to face Sarutobi as the coffins finished rising. I'll bring my family. Izuna will track down his brother. You take care of the other 2. Sarutobi nodded and removed his Hokage robes, revealing his armor beneath. Naruto, too, removed his Hokage robes and hat and quickly sealed them away. The coffins creaked open and the fronts fell to the ground in front, revealing 3 people with pale skin, cracked with age, and slumped over with dull eyes. The coffins' backs were dropped, and Orochimaru quickly implanted kunai in their heads, causing them to stir and straighten up. You've grown old, Saru-chan, Hashirama said to Sarutobi. It's good to see you, Hashirama-sama. Tobirama also looked at him. You've gotten older. Would my son resemble you, Lord? Naruto stifled his laughter and returned his attention to his father. Nope. Still as youthful as ever. Saru-chan is just an old man. Tobirama looked at him, his eyes widening in surprise. And Naruto? You're still alive. I certainly am. Hashirama turned and smiled as well. Naru-chan. You've come back to life. That is incredible. Yes, Uncle Hash, and I am your adversary. It is my duty as the 5th Hokage to defend Konoha. I hope you've stayed in shape in the pure world, because I'm even better than when I died. I want to do a real dance. That's my saying. Madara said, turning to face him. Mada-chan. Exclaimed Hashirama. Hashirama, don't call me that. Ah, you're so mean, Hashirama pouted. Izuna snorted and quickly hid it, hoping to go unnoticed. It was successful. Kill them all. Exclaimed Orochimaru. Hashirama and Tobirama sighed, then came forward, and Naruto took a ready stance, cracking his neck. Let's do this. He only needed to give Izuna enough time to talk to his brother before placing his seals. Madara joined the others in the attack, but was stopped by a gunby. Nissan, you're all mine. I'm going to have to shock you. Zuzu? He exclaimed as he spun around to see a glaring Izuna staring at him. Yes, and you've completely let me down. Going to start a war. I told you I wished for peace. But, no. You had no choice but to start a war. What the hell is the matter with you? However, I did it for you. For me? Seriously? I stated that I desired peace. What part of peace is it to start a war? You even killed yourself. They fought as they spoke, exchanging blows, Madara being forced by the kunai. But they killed you. Madara exclaimed. Yeah, and I told you to bring me peace. Instead, you chose to get yourself killed. Big brother is a moron. Madara frowned, resembling a chastised child, but I wanted retribution for your death. I was going to bring peace to the world. I planned to immerse everyone in a perfect illusion in which no one died and nothing bad ever happened. That isn't peace. That is not true. You are a moron. Please stop doing that. You say you did it for me, but I managed to resurrect, and I don't want that. That's not the kind of peace I'm looking for. I want genuine peace, not a mirage. Madara frowned, his face flushed with embarrassment, but
Zuzu, you don't want retribution for your death.
They assassinated you. I'm not looking for retaliation. That's what I told you when I was dying. I gave you my eyes to aid in the creation of peace. You didn't do it. Ni-san, I never wanted you to die seeking vengeance for me. That was never my intention. I wanted you to be happy, to have children, and to live in a village. Please contact me again. I'm pleading with you. Madara appeared to resist the orders to destroy his brother, but he couldn't, and he looked up in fear at Izuna. I can't keep from attacking you. I don't want to murder you. Then Naruto spoke up, that's why I'm here. They both looked up in time to see a seal slam into Madara's brow, causing him to stumble back. Izuna turned to see Tobirama and Hashirama on the ground, both unconscious but clearly alive and breathing again. Madara staggered and then collapsed, and Izuna snatched him up and threw him to the ground, his eyes closed in unconsciousness. Naruto nodded, then vanished, only to reappear with the other two unconscious people. Make certain they don't wake up and murder each other. I'm assisting Sarutobi. Izuna nodded and sat down, staring at the unconscious people as Naruto vanished in a flash of yellow. He'd keep an eye on them. Naruto appeared next to Sarutobi. Don't even think about it, old man. I know what you're planning, and it bothers me. It's the only way to ensure he's permanently dead. I'm not fond of it. However, Sensei. No. I will not. Sarutobi, don't do it. If he's still alive, I'll track him down later, but I don't want to lose you. Naruto dodged Onoki's attack and sped forward, attacking back in the yellow flash Iwa had feared. He felt a chill and closed his eyes in sorrow when he heard, "Sorry Sensei," behind him. It was being done by Sarutobi. It had already been too late. He could only manage to take out Onoki. He was on Onoki when he heard Orochimaru scream. Naruto smirked as the man's eyes widened. What? Do I make you think of my late father? I suppose I should. He taught me this technique. As Naruto's fist smashed into the roof, creating a crater, Onoki cursed and dodged. He charged again, this time drawing Shirayuki. Onoki's eyes widened as he heard Orochimaru scream again before the barrier fell. He took a look around. I give up. I'm going. Naruto bowed. Go. I must mourn my student's death. Naruto turned to see two still forms on the ground, and Onoki had vanished. He sighed and approached them, only to discover that they were Orochimaru and Sarutobi, both of whom had died. With a sigh of sadness, he turned away from Orochimaru and toward Sarutobi. Oh, you stupid boy. No, I said. The three previously dead men had been moved when they awoke. Madara was with his brother in the Uchiha's main house, and the two Senjus were with Naruto in the Senju's main house. Tobirama was the first to awaken, to two sets of light breathing. He blinked a few times before opening his eyes and looking around. His brother was sleeping peacefully on his right side, dressed in a white sleeping yukata and loose white pants. He was dressed similarly, though their armor was off to the side, with a familiar-looking katana. Shirayuki was wearing their armor. When he turned around, Naruto was asleep on the futon next to him, still fully dressed and slumped against the wall, as if he'd been watching them and passed out. He sat up quietly, pushing the blanket off of him, before rising and creeping over to his son. He reached out and gently touched Naruto's cheek, assuring himself that this was real and that his son, like them, was alive. "Dad? You're awake," he exclaimed as his fingers touched warm skin and his red and blue eyes opened and focused on him. "Shish, Hash hasn't arrived yet. I was waiting for you to wake up, but it's been 2 days and I fell asleep," Naruto said quietly. "You're still wearing your battle clothes from 2 days ago? You could have left us and at least gotten new clothes on. And you've barely slept. What are you thinking?" Tobirama exclaimed. "I wanted to make sure the seal was working properly, so I waited until you woke up. It did and I'm glad. I've missed you. It was horrible when you died and when we got your body back. It was terrible. I almost didn't recognize you," Tobirama said, wrapping his arms around him and hugging him tightly. Naruto stiffened as his father's arms wrapped around him, then relaxed and melted into his father's warm grip. He sighed in relief and contentment, and then they were both enveloped in a bear hug, and when they looked up, they saw a smiling Hashirama wrapped around them both. "You're still the same, Uncle Hash." Such a hugger, Naruto chuckled weakly. "Yup. And now I get you both back. I'm so glad," said Hashirama. Tobirama rolled his eyes, and Hashirama sat back, literally vibrating with happiness. "Yup, definitely the same. Nice to know. Now, Dad, he might be an imposter. I mean, he just willingly hugged someone." Naruto chuckled again. "Hey." Tobirama smacked him upside the head. "I'm just kidding," said Naruto, laughing. Tobirama grumbled, and Hashirama hid his laughter. Poorly. Naruto shot up and spun to his father with a fierce scowl. "By the way, if you kill Izuna again, I will personally rip you a new one." "Izuna? As in Izuna Uchiha?" Tobirama asked, perplexed. "Yes," he returned, "and don't kill him again. I'll never forgive you." "You're still upset about that?" Tobirama winced. "Yes," he exclaimed, turning to Hashirama, "and you, don't go killing Madara either. He went on a vengeance spree when his brother died, and he's spoken with him since Izuna's return." "Madara's alive and not insane?" "Yay." Hashirama's smile could replace the sun. "Damn Uchihas," scowled Tobirama. "Dod. Yeah, I'm not going to attack them." "Good," Naruto exclaimed, "now who's hungry?" "I've got ramen because I can't cook for shit and there's a ramen store nearby." Tobirama snorted, "You can't cook anymore?" "No, I've been staying with Izuna, and he's a fantastic cook. Now I'll have to rely on ramen once more," she says. "Have you been living with a Uchiha?" "Yes, I have." "Do you have a problem with it?" Tobirama shook his head quickly as Naruto appeared to grow more intent on killing. "Nope. None. No problem." "Oh good. Now get dressed while I take a shower and change," Naruto said as he walked away. "Your son is still just as terrifying, if not more," Hashirama said to Tobirama. Tobirama shuddered and nodded. "I agree, he scares the shit out of me." Madara awoke around the same time as the others, but in a different place. When he awoke to light breathing, he attempted to move, only to discover a heavy weight curled up on his arm and tucked into his side. When he looked down, He saw Izuna passed out on his arm, breathing lightly and his hair splayed beneath him. He came to a halt as Izuna groaned and shifted, not wanting to wake up his brother. His sibling. He couldn't believe he'd gotten his precious little brother back. He'd gone for vengeance because his brother had been murdered, but now that he'd gotten his brother back, it all seemed silly. He now had Izuna, and that was all that mattered. Izuna moved again, groaned, and groggily opened his eyes. He blinked a few times, and Madara just stood there watching him until he could move on his own. He sat up, yawned, and rubbed his eyes. When he was finished, he looked down at Madara, who was awake, and exclaimed, "Ni-san. You're awake. Finally. It's been 2 days." "Yes, Zuzu," Madara said, smiling. "Thank goodness. I was worried," exclaimed the younger Uchiha, wrapping his arms around Madara's waist and hugging him tightly. "I'm so glad you changed your mind. If you were still bent on vengeance, I would have had to have Naruto just undo the jutsu and return you to the pure world." "I'm glad too," Madara said as he hugged his little brother back, "but you've certainly kept up your training, to be able to keep up with me, even if it's just an impure resurrection. I've been training with Naruto, and he's a good fighter as well, so we've both progressed." Izuna sat up, letting him go and smiling, "Ew. Guess what? I learned some cool new jutsus too. And this life also has an older brother, but he's currently labeled a missing nin because he's spying on an evil organization and he wanted everyone to think he..." "Whoa, slow down, Ototo. I just woke up." From being dead, Madara chuckled. "Oops, I forgot, I'm just so excited to have you back." Izuna chuckled sheepishly. Madara smiled and looked down to see himself and Izuna dressed in black sleeping yukatas, though they both wore loose black pants underneath their long tops. He returned his gaze to Izuna, who was brushing his hair back into a ponytail. He came to a halt, however, and gently brushed his fingers through his hair, as he used to, before tying it in a low ponytail with a ribbon. "There. Thank you, Ni-san," said Izuna. Madara laughed. He was relieved to see his animated younger brother again. The 3 Senjus walked slowly through the village, observing the oppressed villagers and shinobi alike. Sarutobi used the Reaper summoning to end Orochimaru once and for all. He died in the battle. His funeral is tomorrow, Naruto sighed. He was always too noble, Hashirama sighed. "That he was," Tobirama said, nodding. "Did you mention something about a 5th Hokage?" "Yeah. I did," Naruto exclaimed, pulling out a sealing scroll, and the 2 older men watched in fascination as he pressed his finger on it, causing a puff of smoke. He took off his cloak and hat, hooking the cloak with the orange ribbon and putting on the hat, "It's me." Before Tobirama said, "Congratulations Naruto," Hashirama and Tobirama smiled. "Yeah. Ew. We're a group of Hokages. How exciting." "That's what we are," Hashirama chuckled. When they arrived at Ichiraku's, Naruto sat down and said, "Oi, Tuchi Jiji. 2 porks and a miso." "Come on, Naruto. Who's with you?" "Members of my family." Tuchi emerged, his eyes wide with surprise. "S Shodem-sama, Nidem-sama, and Naruto, you're the Godem." "Yup. Congratulations on achieving your dream. These are on the house," Tuchi said with a smile. "Thank you, Tuchi Jiji. This is my Uncle Hash and father." "Yes, I'm glad you got at least one of your families back," Tuchi said with a smile. "That's great." "Yeah, and Izuna got his family back too," Naruto nodded. "Izuna? What about the Uchiha? I assumed his name was Sasuke." He's a reincarnation of myself. He is, in fact, Izuna Uchiha. As in Madara Uchiha's younger brother? Yup. But if he regained custody of his family. Is Madara alive again? Yeah. But he promised to be a better person now. Thank goodness, Tucci sighed, relieved. Now, 2 pigs and a miso soup? Give me a second and I'll have them ready. Tsunade was cheerfully assisting at the hospital. She hadn't seen Naruto since before the battle with Orochimaru, and it had been 2 days, and she was worried. She'd heard that Sarutobi had died, and the village was in mourning, but she'd heard nothing about Naruto. She finished her patient and went outside for a break, where she was drinking some water when arms wrapped around her and said, "Suhime-chan. I came to introduce myself. I love you, dear uncle, but you've worried the hell out of me." She spun and smacked him upside the head. Hey, I was busy. Naruto rubbed his chin with a pout. Ew. I've brought you a gift. What is it? She asked, warily. Close your eyes, he said, brightly smiling. No. Please. I guarantee you will not be hurt. She looked at him, and he looked at her with puppy dog eyes, before huffing and sighed, fine. She closed her eyes and felt someone approaching, but Naruto's hands covered her eyes and she couldn't open them, and she gasped, can't. Breathe. Heim. Said the next voice, and she froze. Yay. Naruto tracked you down. I needed a hug. Naruto's hands moved and she opened her eyes to see arms wrapped tightly around her and her back pressed against someone's chest while long hair tickled her neck. She was shaken and then spun and she was met with someone she thought was long dead, her grandfather. Hashirama looked her over and smiled brightly, Heim. I returned. Her jaw dropped, and she turned to see Naruto had someone behind him as well, someone she had assumed was dead, her great-uncle Tobirama. Naruto smiled, I got the family back. You stated that you desired them. How? It was Orochimaru who used the impure resurrection jutsu. I just made a counterseal that brought their souls here to stay as living people, Hashirama said, hugging her again like a teddy bear, and Naruto snickered, he was rather glad to see you, as you can tell. You had to stick him on me, she glared at him. You can't tell me you're not relieved. You're right, she sighed. I'm relieved. We knew you'd be, Tobirama said with a smile. Naruto was the only one who knew where you were. Until we came to see you, Hashirama wouldn't stop bugging us. I see that, snorted Tsunade. You've grown so big. Hashirama exclaimed, finally letting her go. My princess is the best medic in the elemental nations. Yes, I chose a field and excelled in it, but I can still fight, she said to her grandfather. Don't misunderstand me. There aren't many people who can beat me. I know someone who can beat you, Tobirama chuckled. I know that, she rolled her eyes as she noticed him pointing at Naruto, who was smiling. I've never defeated Uncle Naruto. And you never will, Suhime-chan, Naruto chuckled. When there was a tentative knock on their front door, Madara and Izuna stood up and said, I'll get it, Ni-san. Be careful, Madara cautioned. I can handle myself, Ni-san, Izuna rolled his eyes. Madara grunted, and Izuna went to the door and cracked it open to see Naruto there with a smile, dressed in his Hokage clothes for some reason. May I enter? Yeah, but keep an eye on my brother. He's still enraged at your father, and you're familiar with his erratic vengeance. I see, Naruto chuckled as he stepped inside. I just wanted to check in on you guys and make sure the seal was working properly for everyone. Okay, fine. Yes, it did work. He's eating something in the kitchen. Hello, Zuzu? He still calls you that? Snickered Naruto. Got a problem with it? Izuna grabbed him and gave him a noogie. Oi! Said Naruto, grabbing his hand. Please halt. Izuna released him, and they heard footsteps. Zuzu? Madara stepped into the entryway, his gaze fixed on Naruto, who was re-putting on his hat. You're Tobirama offspring. Tamiz. Yes, I am, Naruto said as he huffed and brushed his clothes off. No revenge sprees, Ni-san, Madara said, a glint in his eyes that Izuna recognized. I'll kill you in retaliation for Izuna. Then I'll get that idiot back. Ni-san. No. Hashirama was tending his garden when he heard yelling and looked up to see a laughing Naruto running through the village with his hat on, followed by Madara with an evil grin, holding 2 broken pieces of wood and chasing the Senju. Izuna was behind his brother with an exasperated look. No, Ni-san. Madara, you're a jerk. There will be no vengeance. Hashirama looked around in awe, then his face split into a grin and he fell to the ground, clutching his sides as he rolled around laughing. Tobirama exclaimed, "What's so funny?" "Ha, Madara, you're a jerk. Just like a dog." His laughter grew louder, and Tobirama raised an eyebrow. What? Tsunade was soon met with the same sight, and she simply sighed and returned to her patient's care. Madara remained the same, and her uncle was obviously just messing around as usual. Danzo looked up to see his old teacher cackling as an angry Madara pursued him, wielding 2 pointy pieces of wood, and the so-called last Uchiha, following the other Uchiha, shouting for him to stop. Poor Madara ni. What did I say about vengeance? Danzo rubbed his eyes and shook his head. Nothing was ever normal with his old sensei. Izuna finally caught up to Madara and bopped him on the head before removing the wood pieces. Bad. Madara, you're a jerk. I said there would be no vengeance sprees. But, Zuzu, Madara pouted and rubbed his aching head. No. Bad. You've been grounded. There will be no dango for a week. No. Exclaimed Madara, horrified. You can't take my dango away. You are a demon. Naruto snickered and then crept behind Izuna, sticking his head out and yelling at the elder Uchiha, so ungrateful. I'm the one who got you back. You'd be back in the natural world if it weren't for my sealing abilities. What was that, Ni-san? Izuna asked as Madara crossed his arms and grumbled something about Senjus. I said thank you, Madara said, moving his gaze away from his brother's now glowing red eyes. You better have. Madara shrank under his angry brother, and Izuna smiled as he turned to Naruto. You bring him? Yup. I give it about 5 seconds, Naruto snickered again. What are you? Madara asked, perplexed. Mada-chan. Oh god. Exclaimed Madara. You brought him with you? How could you possibly do that? I'm going to be squeezed to death. Mada-chan. Hashirama yelled through the door, grabbing him in a bone-crushing bear hug. Yay. While the younger 2 ninjas snickered at Madara's predicament, Hashirama hugged him tighter and shook him back and forth until Madara turned blue from lack of oxygen and fell limp, and Izuna chuckled, he totally deserved that, but we should rescue him before your uncle crushes him. Yeah, alright, Naruto sighed, looking up. Oi. Uncle. I believe you murdered him. Hashirama yelped and let go, and Madara fell to the ground, still knocked out, gasping for breath. Izuna poked his brother with a toe and then shrugged. Hashirama hadn't noticed Madara was breathing and was freaking out. Oh my god. I had no intention of killing him again. It was only a hug. I was overjoyed to see him. He's still alive, Naruto chuckled, but you knocked him out with lack of oxygen, and I needed you to let him go. Oh good, Hashirama sighed as he stopped waving his hands and looked down at the elder Uchiha. I was concerned.
When Madara didn't respond, Naruto smirked and knelt down next to his ear, saying, I'm going to let Hashirama use you as a teddy bear for a week.
Madara immediately shot up, wide eyes wide, and screamed, no. He sighed, oh good, it was just a nightmare, he shuddered, and Naruto stood back up with a satisfied smile. Oops. Hashirama rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. Mada-chan, I didn't mean to knock you out. I apologize? I think you broke a few ribs crushing me, Madara glared at him. At the Uchiha's insane words, Hashirama immediately went into a depression, knelt and held his knees with one arm while drew a tree in the dust with the other, and a little rain cloud formed over his head and actually rained on him, getting him wet as he pouted and muttered about meanie Uchihas. He's still doing the random bouts of depression? Izuna inquired. Unfortunately, Naruto sighed. Madara grimaced at Hashirama's depressed expression and then stood and walked over to the Senju, sitting down next to him. Hashirama continued to mutter and draw, and Madara groaned and awkwardly patted his back, it okay. I'm not mad anymore. He frowned and batted at the rain cloud, exclaiming, how is there actual water? Naruto burst out laughing, and Hashirama hugged Madara again, removing the rain cloud. Madara sighed, resigned to his fate, but at least he wasn't getting crushed this time. When the elder Senju was finished hugging, he pulled away and looked at Izuna, holding out his arms, I want hugs from everyone. Madara's eyes widened as Izuna shrugged and proceeded, no, Zuzu. Do not attempt it. He's going to crush you. That guy is a demon. He seems like a giant teddy bear to me, Ni-san, Izuna said as Hashirama wrapped his arms around him. I believe you are overreacting. No. Cried Madara, falling to his knees. My Ototo has been tainted by hugging Senjus.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.